Again, holding steady at 100.
What's up, Tex Guy? Hey, Tex Guy. Carter won with $200, bro. Carter won the battle with $200, bro. I didn't get shit on mine. What's up, Kaz? I didn't get nothing on mine. Oh, I gotta watch my own damn. Hold on, guys. Yeah, man, Tex Guy, no, I haven't seen your new light yet. Nope, I have not. No, I haven't seen it yet. What you been up to, Kaz? Shout out to the 4 people in the chat. Appreciate you guys already. Golly, I've been waiting on somebody to go live, haven't you? Hold on, let me go see what's fucking going on out here already. What? You just seen it? Yeah. So how's everybody been tonight? I mean, I'm sorry I haven't been live lately, guys. I just haven't been feeling it lately. But I'm live now. Hold on, guys. I'm going to... I haven't seen it, Cassie. I'm going to have to go look on your channel then and see if it's on your channel. But I haven't seen it yet. Hold on, man. Where the hell? Hold on.
Chapter 1 of Hannibal. This is a LibriVox report.
Oh, you sent it to Messenger? Okay, I'm going to have to look it on the other phone. Then later.
For more information or to volunteer,
Babe!
please visit LibriVox.org.
Hold on, let me get her phone.
Reporting by Hollis Hanover. Hannibal by Jacob Abbott. Chapter 1. The First Punic War.
I got you.
Carthaginian general. He acquired his great distinction.
I got an interview tomorrow, guys, so I won't be live. I got till 8 o'clock tomorrow, 8 p.m. tomorrow.
Opposite sides of the Mediterranean Sea. For about 100 years, they waged against each other.
I got a job interview tomorrow, my second interview for this one. Charlie's, it's called Charlie's Restaurant.
Carthage was entirely destroyed. There was no real cause for any disagreement between these two nations.
Starting pay is $10. Babe, bring me your phone.
Merely rivalry and spontaneous hate. They spoke a different language, they had a different origin, and they lived on opposite sides of the same sea. So they hated and devoured each
Thank you,
other.
Cass. Appreciate it. It's starting out at $10 an hour.
Alexander the Great in this series will recollect the difficulty
Your messenger.
in besieging
No
and
messenger.
subduing Tyre,
I gotta
a great maritime
look at
city
messenger real quick.
situated about 2 miles from the shore on the eastern coast of the Mediterranean Sea. Carthage was originally founded by a colony from this city of Tyre, and it soon became a great commercial and maritime power like its mother. The Carthaginians
I'm pretty. No, you're good. Pretty risky. I appreciate you. And how you doing tonight?
They visited all the nations on these coasts, purchased the commodities they had to sell.
Oh, I like that one, Cassie.
Other nations, and sold
That's at your hospital when you're in the.
They soon began to grow rich and powerful. They hired soldiers to fight their battles and began to take possession of the islands of the Mediterranean and, in some instances, of points on the mainland.
Don't tell me you're doing diamond art in the hospital.
Spain
Thank you, pretty risky. I appreciate you, sweetie.
found that the natives had silver and gold, which they obtained from veins of ore near the surface of the ground. At first, the Carthaginians obtained this gold and silver by selling the natives commodities of various kinds, which they had procured in other countries, paying, of course, to the producers only a very small price compared with what they required the Spaniards to pay them. Finally, they took
Oh
possession
gosh,
of
guys,
their
Hannibal. We're listening to Hannibal, the book Hannibal.
themselves. They dug deeper. They employed skillful engineers to make pumps
Hot.
and
I'm
raise
at cold,
water,
I'm at-
which always accumulates in mines and prevents their being worked to any great depth.
This is the one I'm doing next, guys.
Have a considerable degree of
This is the
scientific
one I'm doing next after I finish this one.
They founded a city here, which they called New Carthage, Nova Carthago. They fortified and garrisoned this city. And
That's the one
made
I'm
it
doing
the
next.
center of their operations in
Look at all the white in there,
Spain.
man.
It's called Cartagena to this day. Thus, the Carthaginians did everything by power of money. They extended their operations in every direction, each new extension bringing in new treasures and increasing their means of extending them more. They had, besides the merchant vessels which belonged to private individuals, great ships of war belonging to the state. These vessels were called galleys and were rowed by oarsmen, tier above tier, there being sometimes 4 and 5 banks of oars. They had armies too, drawn from different countries in various troops, according as different nations excelled in the different modes of warfare. For instance, the Numidians, whose country extended in the neighborhood of Carthage on the African coast, were famous for their horsemen. There were great plains in Numidia and good grazing, and it was, consequently, one of those countries in which horses and horsemen naturally thrive. On the other hand, the natives of the Balearic Isles, now called Majorca, Minorca, and Ivica, were famous for their skill as slingers. So the Carthaginians, in making up their forces, would hire bodies of cavalry in Numidia and of slingers in the Balearic Isles, and for reasons analogous, they got excellent infantry in Spain. The tendency of the various nations to adopt and cultivate different modes of warfare was far greater in those ancient times than now. The Balearic Isles, in fact, received their name from the Greek word balein, which means to throw with a sling. The youth were there trained to perfection in the use of this weapon from a very early age. It is said that mothers used to practice the plan of putting the bread for their boys' breakfast on the branches of trees high above their heads.
What is this one
and
of?
not allow them to have their food to eat.
This
until they
one's
could bring
of
down
a guitar.
thrown from a sling.
This is of a guitar.
Thus, the Carthaginian power became greatly extended. The whole government, however, was exercised by a small body of wealthy and aristocratic families at home. It was very much such a government as that of England is at the present day, only the aristocracy of England is based on ancient birth and landed property, whereas in Carthage it depended on commercial greatness, combined, it is true, with hereditary family distinction. The aristocracy of Carthage controlled and governed everything. None but its own sons could ordinarily obtain office or power. The great mass of inhabitants were kept in a state of servitude and vassalage. This state of things operated then, as it does now in England, very unjustly and hardly for those who were...
Oh, I'll be done tonight with this one, but I'm going to be doing this one next. I'm gonna be doing this one next.
England still holds good. That a very efficient
I'm going to be doing that one
democratic
next
government was
after I
created.
finish this one, which I'll be finished with this one tonight.
Makes it sometimes a very rich and discontented and unhappy people.
I mean, a lot of all my diamond arts are for
Now
sale.
turn to the map and find the place of Carthage upon it. Let him imagine a great and rich city there with piers and docks and extensive warehouses for the commerce and temples and public edifices of splendid architecture for the religious and civil service of the state, and elegant mansions and places for the wealthy aristocracy.
Daniel, what's up? Happy
and
Tuesday,
walls
brother.
And towers for the defense of the whole. Let him imagine a back country extending for some 100 miles into the interior of Africa, fertile and highly cultivated, producing great stores of corn and wine and rich fruits of every description. Let him then look at the islands of Sicily, of Corsica and Sardinia, and the Baleares, and conceive of them as rich and prosperous countries, and all under the Carthaginian rule. Look also at the coast of Spain. See, in imagination, the city of Cartagena, with its fortifications and its army and the gold and silver mines, with thousands and thousands of slaves toiling in them. Imagine fleets of ships going continually along the shores of the Mediterranean from country to country, cruising back and forth to Tyre, to Cyprus, to Egypt, to Sicily, to Spain, carrying corn and flax and purple dyes. And
Thank you guys for the likes. I appreciate it, guys.
precious stones and ropes and sails for ships and gold and silver, and then periodically returning to Carthage to add the profits they had made to the vast treasures of wealth already accumulated there. Let the reader imagine all this with the map before him so as to have a distinct conception of the geographical relations of the localities, and he will have a pretty correct idea of the Carthaginian power at the time it commenced its dreadful conflicts with Rome. Rome itself was very differently situated. Rome had been built by some wanderers from Troy, and it grew for a long time, silently and slowly, by a sort of
Well, guys, I didn't win in the battle.
and energy.
Carter won. Time to scratch
After
one.
another of the Italian peninsula,
He was the first one to scratch, and he won $200.
they formed a population which was in the
Ernie
main
got 150. Ernie won $150.
They tilled the fields. They
Rocky
hunted
Top won $100.
They raised.
Karina won $100.
They seem to have been a race, a sort of variety of
A couple other people won
possessed of a very
too, but
refined and
can't remember who they are.
organization which, in its development,
Carter won the side pot,
firmness,
which was
energy, and force, both of body and mind.
$75 minus his $5, so he won $75 plus what he won on his ticket. He won $200 plus the $75 pot. I thought Ernie was gonna catch him, but it was his was only $150. Yeah, a lot of people won. It was I know Carter won, Rocky Top won, but I won on my $5 tickets. I won 30 back on $20. I won 30 back. So I look at it as in the whole, I won almost half my money back on everything that I put in. So I'm happy with that. I won back to back. All right, let me go get the tickets. Actually, I'll show you guys. Where are the tickets at, babe?
At last, however, the collision came. It originated in the following way. By looking at the map, the reader will see that the island of Sicily is separated from the mainland by a narrow strait called the Strait of Messina.
Rocky Top won $35 back on his. Well, I won on this one. I got 4 matches on this one. I got 4 matches. 1, 49, 49, 28, 28, 3, and 3. And I won $20 back on this one. And it's ticket. Oh, shoot. Sorry, you guys can't see it. Ticket 52 and 51. And on this one, I got the stack of cash for double and $5 on that one. So I got $30 back out of total 75.
Sent to the Romans to say that if they, the Romans, would come and protect them, they would deliver Messina into their hands.
If you guys can look, I'll even show you. It's ticket 51 and 52.
Was brought before the Roman Senate and caused them great
What's up, Interstate?
It seemed very
And it's from the same book,
to take
so.
sides with the rebels of Messina when they had punished so severely those of Rhegium. Still, the Romans
Like I said, I want half my money back, so I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
very jealous of the growth and
No,
extension of
interstate. It was $75. I did Ernie's.
Sicilian
I was in
authorities
Ernie's battle today.
calling for direct
I
aid
didn't win on the $50 ticket. The $50 ticket's right here.
and it
Got
would
lost on it.
probably result in
Here's the
establishing a
ticket,
large
the
body of
$50
Italian
ticket, the
troops on
500X.
the Italian shore,
I lost on that.
and at a point where it would be
Even, like I said, even losing on this, I still got half my money back I put in, so I'm happy with that.
in a word, it was a case of what is called political necessity. That is to say, a
What's
case
up,
in
Tex
which
guy?
the interests of one of the parties in a contest were so strong that all
So I'm happy with that, man. I'm happy we're winning half my money back.
honor are to be sacrificed to the promotion of them. Instances of this kind of political necessity occur very frequently in the management of public affairs in all ages of the world. The contest for Messina was, after all, however, considered by the Romans merely
This
as
is what you guys are listening to.
an occasion for commencing the struggle with which they had long.
What you guys are listening to is it's called Hannibal. It's a Hannibal ebook. So we're listening to Hannibal just so you guys know what you're listening to. Shout out to the 4 people in chat. Appreciate you guys.
Been desirous of entering upon. They evinced their characteristic energy and greatness in the plan which they adopted at the outset. They knew very well.
What
that
up,
the
Papa
power of
Smurf?
Carthage rested mainly
You
on
can't say that.
these, and that they could not hope
You can't.
successfully to cope with her
What's up, Papa
until they
Smurf?
could meet and conquer her on her own element. In the meantime, however, they had not a single ship and not a single sailor, while the Mediterranean was covered with Carthaginian ships and seamen. Not at all daunted by this prodigious inequality, the Romans resolved to begin at once the work of creating for themselves.
I already get blamed for being fucking racist.
The preparations
I don't know how that happens, but you
the
know,
Romans had not
it is what it
built
is.
ships. They had first to learn how to build.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man.
They took their first lesson from a Carthaginian galley, which was cast away in a storm upon the coast of Italy.
So you made it home yet?
They seized
Did you make it
this
home
galley,
yet, Papa Smurf?
collected their carpenters to examine it, and set woodmen to work to fell trees. And
Shout out to the 5 people in chat. Appreciate you guys.
the carpenters studied their model very carefully, measured the dimensions of every part, and observed the manner in which the various parts were connected and secured together. The heavy shocks which vessels are exposed to from the waves makes it necessary to secure great strength in the construction of them. And though the ships of the ancients were very small and imperfect compared with the men of war of the present day, still it is surprising that the Romans could succeed at all in such a sudden and hasty attempt at building them. They did.
Oh, you're still at his homestead? Okay, cool, cool. How long is that? Was that a week or something?
For the purpose were training men on shore to the art of rowing them. Benches, like the seats which the oarsmen would occupy in the ships, were arranged on the ground, and the intended seamen were drilled every day in the movements and action of rowers. The result was that in a few months after the building of the ships was commenced, the Romans had a fleet of 100 galleys of 5 banks of oars ready. They remained in harbor with them for some time to give the oarsmen the opportunity to see whether they could row on the water as well as on the land, and then boldly put to sea to meet the Carthaginians.
Thursday through Sunday. Got you, got you.
There was one part of the arrangements made by the Romans in preparing their fleets which was strikingly characteristic
Got you, bro.
the determined resolution which marked all their conduct. They constructed machines containing grappling irons which they mounted on the prows of their vessels. These engines were so contrived that the moment one of the ships containing them encounter a vessel of the enemy, the grappling irons would fall upon the deck of the latter and hold the two firmly together so as to prevent the possibility of either escaping from the other. The idea that they themselves should have any wish to withdraw from the encounter seemed entirely out of the question. Their only fear was that the Carthaginian seamen would employ their superior skill and experience in naval maneuvers in making their escape. Mankind have always regarded the action of the Romans in this case as one of the most striking examples of military courage and resolution which the history of war has ever recorded.
God, dude, that's what they're for. That's what those
And
meet and
like
greets
the
are for,
plans
bro.
come down to
Meeting new
the
people,
shore
man.
and without
I'm glad you got to meet a lot of new good friends, man. A
undertake
lot
to
of new
build
good
the fleet
people.
and go out to
I'm pretty
attack
sure
the
every one of them was
natives
great
discovered
people,
the
man.
sea and
I'm
made
glad you
use
got to
of the
experience that,
knowledge
bro.
mistress of it. They seize a wrecked galley of their enemies for their model. They build 100 vessels like it. They practice maneuvers for a short time in port, and then go forth to meet the fleets of their powerful enemy with grappling machines to hold them, fearing nothing but the possibility of their escape. The result was as might have been expected. The Romans captured, sunk, destroyed, or dispersed the Carthaginian fleet which was brought to oppose them. They took the prows of the ships which they captured and conveyed them to Rome and built what is
Okay,
called
here's who all won what. Time to Scratch won 100. Rocky Top won 100. Karina won 100.
in the Roman language called rostra.
Tower Scratcher won 100.
Destroyed by lightning about
Semi Ernie won 150. And Granite State won 100. And everybody else didn't win nothing.
very striking and appropriate monument of this extraordinary naval victory. The Roman commander in this case was the consul Duilius. The rostral column was erected.
I know it, bro. I can imagine.
In digging among the ruins of Rome, there was found what was supposed to be the remains of this column about 300 years ago. The Romans now prepared to carry the war into Africa itself. Of course, it was easy, after their victory over the Carthaginian fleet, to transport troops across the sea to the Carthaginian shore. The Roman Commonwealth was governed at this time by a Senate who made the laws and by two supreme executive officers called consuls. They thought it was safer to have two chief magistrates than one, as each of the two would naturally be a check upon the other. The result was, however, that mutual jealousy involved them often in disputes and quarrels. It is thought better in modern times to have but one chief magistrate in the state, and to provide other modes to put a check upon any disposition he might evince to abuse his powers. The Roman consuls in time of war took command of the armies. The name of the consul upon whom it devolved to carry on the war with the Carthaginians after this first great victory was Regulus, and his name has been celebrated in every age on account of his extraordinary adventures in this campaign and his untimely fate. How far the story is strictly true, it is now impossible to ascertain, but the following is the story as the Roman historians relate it. At the time when Regulus was elected consul, he was a plain man, living simply on his farm, maintaining himself by his own industry, and evincing no ambition or pride. His fellow citizens, however, observed those qualities of mind in him which they were accustomed to admire, and made him consul. He left the city and took command of the army. He enlarged the fleet to more than 300 vessels.
Oh, that's cool.
140,000 men on board and sailed for Africa. 1 or 2 years had been spent in making these preparations, which time the Carthaginians had improved in building new ships, so that when the Romans set sail and were moving along the coast of Sicily, they came in sight of a larger Carthaginian fleet assembled to oppose them. Regulus advanced to the contest. The Carthaginian fleet was beaten as before. The ships which were not captured or destroyed made their escape in all directions.
Oh, that's cool as heck, bro.
Without further opposition, and landed his forces on the Carthaginian shore. He encamped as soon as he landed and sent back word to the Roman Senate asking what was next to be done. The Senate, considering that the great difficulty and danger, viz., that of repulsing the Carthaginian fleet, was now past, ordered Regulus to send home nearly all the ships and a very large part of the army, and with the rest to commence his march toward Carthage. Regulus obeyed. He sent home the troops which had been ordered home, and with the rest began to advance upon the city. Just
You
at
do
this
not.
time, however, news came out to him that the farmer who had had the care of his land at home had died, and that his little farm, on which rested his sole reliance for the support of his family, was going to ruin. Regulus accordingly sent to the Senate, asking them to place someone else in command of the army and allow him to resign his office, that he might go home.
Shout out to the 6 people in chat. If you haven't, please hit that like button for me, please.
The Senate sent back orders that he should go on with his campaign and promised to provide support for his family and to see that someone was appointed to take care of his land. This story is thought to illustrate the extreme simplicity and plainness of all the habits of life among the Romans in those days. It certainly does so, if it is true. It is, however, very extraordinary that a man who was entrusted by such a commonwealth with the command of a fleet of 130 vessels and an army of 140,000 men should have a family at home dependent for subsistence on the hired cultivation of 7 acres of land. Still, such is the story. Regulus advanced toward Carthage, conquering as he came. The Carthaginians were beaten in one field after another and were reduced, in fact, to the last extremity when an occurrence took place which turned the scale. This was the arrival of a large body of troops from Greece with a Grecian general at their head. These were troops which the Carthaginians had hired to fight for them, as was the case with the rest of the army. But these were Greeks, and the Greeks were of the same race and possessed the same qualities as the Romans. The newly arrived Grecian general evinced at once such military superiority that the Carthaginians gave him the supreme command. He marshaled the army accordingly for battle. He had 100 elephants in the van. They were trained to rush forward and trample down the enemy. He had the Greek phalanx in the center, which was a close, compact body of many thousand troops, bristling with long, iron-pointed spears, with which the men pressed forward, bearing everything before them. Regulus was, in a word, ready to meet Carthaginians, but he was not prepared to encounter Greeks. His army was put to flight, and he was taken prisoner. Nothing could exceed the excitement and exultation in the city when they saw Regulus and 500 other Roman soldiers brought captive in. A few days before, they had been in consternation at the imminent danger of his coming in as a ruthless and vindictive conqueror.
Thank you guys for the 6 likes. Appreciate it, guys.
Were not discouraged by this disaster. They fitted out new armies, and the war went on, Regulus being kept all the time at Carthage as a close prisoner. At last, the Carthaginians authorized him to go to Rome as a sort of commissioner to propose to the Romans to exchange prisoners and make peace. They extracted from him a solemn promise that if he was unsuccessful, he would return. The Romans had taken many of the Carthaginians prisoners in their naval combats and held them captive at Rome. It is customary in such cases for the belligerent nations to make an exchange and restore the captives on both sides to their friends and home.
Golly, man, I gotta already turn
It was
this
such
freaking air
an
back
exchange of
on.
prisoners as this which Regulus was to propose. When Regulus reached Rome, he refused to enter the city, but he appeared before the Senate without the walls in a very humble
Oh, they like to stay in my bushes, Papa Smurf.
subdued and unassuming demeanor.
That's how they are. That's how they get to sleep, man. That's how people get to sleep.
Citizen,
Just sit in here and watch me until they fall
and
asleep.
he disavowed all
So I gotta start going live again, man. Like I said, I apologize for not being live lately.
respect to the proper course to be pursued.
Is that I didn't feel like it, man. I just had a bunch of shit going on with people, man.
He himself and the other Roman
It's just-
prisoners were old,
it's just me.
firm, and not worth the exchange.
I apologize. Like I said, I apologize for not
They
being
had no
live.
claim whatsoever on their country, as they could only have been made prisoners.
People come and go all night.
Want of courage or patriotism to die in their country's cause. He said that the Carthaginians were tired of the war and that their resources were exhausted.
The basement.
That the Romans ought to press forward
The bushes, not the basement.
and leave himself
No, I'm just kidding. You can call it what you want.
to their fate. The Senate came very slowly and reluctantly to the conclusion to follow this advice. They, however, all earnestly joined in attempting to persuade Regulus that he was under no obligation to return to Carthage. His promise, they
Detention.
said, was extorted by the circumstances of the case and was not binding. Regulus, however, insisted on keeping his faith with his enemies. He sternly refused his family and, bidding the Senate farewell, he returned to Carthage. The Carthaginians, exasperated at his having interposed himself to prevent the succession of his mission, tortured him for some time in the most cruel manner and finally put him to death. One would think that he ought to have counseled peace and an exchange of prisoners, and he ought not to have refused to see his unhappy wife and children, but it was certainly very noble of him to refuse to break his word. The war continued for some time after this until, at length, both nations became weary of the contest and peace was made. The following is the treaty which was signed. It shows that the advantage on the whole in this first Punic War was on the part of the Romans. There shall be
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Carthage.
Yeah, I did see what you said.
Evacuate all Sicily.
Come out of the basement. Why am I the only one?
They shall restore to the Romans without ransom all the prisoners which they have taken from them.
Oh, you found her on Facebook dating? Holy crap. Watch out for that shit on Facebook, bro.
The war had
I'll tell you why later.
24
I'll give you the reason why I think you should watch out for that.
Chapter 1, reporting by Hollis Hanover.
It would be just what I've seen happen unto people, man. You guys got to remember, I'm looking down too, so. Oh, already?
Chapter 2.
Oh, you might have. Oh, that's cool then. That's cool. Babe, come get your phone.
All LibriVox recordings are in the public
In person, that's cool then. That's
For
cool.
information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Haley Flagg. Hannibal by Jacob Abbott. Chapter 2.
Why?
Hannibal.
Anybody calling?
No, just come and get
The
it.
name of Hannibal's
So
father
just in case if
was
somebody
Hannibal,
does call, I ain't got to run out there to give it to you.
Carthaginian generals.
I got my
He
other one.
occupied a very
They're
prominent
both on?
position, both on account of his rank
Yeah, both
and
got
wealth
messenger on
and
it.
high family connections in
I'm talking about calling like your fucking son.
Oh, they ain't nobody gonna call that phone.
Okay.
Command of the armies abroad. He carried on the wars which the Carthaginians waged in Africa and in Spain after the conclusion of the war with the Romans, and he longed to commence hostilities with the Romans again. At one time, when Hannibal was about 9 years of age, Hamilcar was preparing to set off on an expedition into Spain, and, as was usual in those days, he was celebrating the occasion with games and spectacles and various religious ceremonies. It has been the custom in all ages of the world, when nations go to war with each other, for each side to take measures for propitiating the favor of heaven. Christian nations of the present
Oh, that's cool. You won the tickets and you brought them with you, bro. That's cool.
Success of their own arms. Heathen nations do it by sacrifices, libations, and offerings. Hamilcar had made arrangements for such sacrifices. and
I'm glad you
these were
found
offered
somebody,
in the presence of the
Pop
whole
Smart.
assembled army. Young Hannibal, then about 9 years of age, was present. He was a boy of great spirit and energy, and he entered with much enthusiasm into the scene. He wanted to go to Spain himself with the army, and he came to his father and began to urge his request. His father could not consent to this. He was too young to endure the privations and fatigues of such an enterprise. However, his father brought him to one of the altars in the presence of the other officers of the army, and made him lay his hands on the consecrated victim, and swear that, as soon as he was old enough, and had it in his power, he would make war upon the Romans. This was done, no doubt, in part to amuse young Hannibal's mind, and to relieve his disappointment in not being able to go to war at the time, by promising him a great and mighty enemy to fight at some future day. Hannibal remembered it, longed for the time to come when he could go to war against the Romans. Hamilcar bade his son farewell and embarked for Spain. He was at liberty to extend his conquest there in all directions west of the river Iberus, a river which the reader will find upon the map, flowing southeast into the Mediterranean Sea. Its name, Iberus, has been gradually changed in modern times to Ebro. By the treaty with the Romans, the Carthaginians were not to cross the Iberus. They were also bound by the
That's
treaty
crazy,
not to
man.
molest the people of Saguntum, a city lying between Iberus and the Carthaginian dominions. Saguntum was in alliance with the Romans, and under their
All right, pretty and risky. Appreciate you, sweetie, for stopping by. I appreciate it. Oh, nature's grass. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
He began immediately after his arrival.
That's why I do this right here.
Plans for
I do this right here, pretty and
He
risky.
had under him as his principal lieutenant a young man who had married his daughter.
First time I heard it called nature's grass. So
With Hasdrubal's aid, he went
I'll
on
be right back,
extending
guys.
his
Hold on.
conquests in Spain and strengthening his position there. Gradually maturing his plans for renewing war with the Romans. When at length he died, Hasdrubal succeeded him. Hannibal was now probably about 21 or 2 years old and still in Carthage. Hasdrubal sent to the Carthaginian government a request that Hannibal might receive an appointment in the army and be sent out to join him in Spain. On the subject of complying with this request, there was a great debate in the Carthaginian Senate. In all cases where questions of government were controlled by votes, it had been found in every age that parties will always be formed, of which the two most prominent will usually be nearly balanced one against the other. Thus, at this time, though the Hamilcar family were in power, there was a very strong party in Carthage in opposition to them. The leader of this party in the Senate, whose name was Hanno, made a very earnest speech against sending Hannibal. He was too young, he said, to be of any service. He would only learn the vices and follies of the camp, and thus become corrupted and ruined. Besides, said Hanno, at this rate, the command of our armies in Spain is getting to be a sort of hereditary right. Hamilcar was not a king, that his authority should thus descend first to his son-in-law, and then to his son. For this plan of making Hannibal, he said, while yet scarcely arrived at manhood, a high officer in the army, is only a stepping stone to the putting of the forces wholly under his orders, whenever, for any reason, Hasdrubal shall cease to command them. The Roman historian, through whose narrative we get our only account of this debate, says that for good reasons, yet strengthened
hey, Lucy, how you doing, sweetie?
over wisdom in the decision of the question. They voted to send Hannibal. and
Did you
to
see the
send
one I'm doing
Hannibal
next, Papa Smurf?
with a heart full of
This is the one. Oh, hold on. Let me zoom out, guys.
a great deal of curiosity and
This is the one I'm doing next, Papa Smurf. Look at all that white in there, man. This is what I'm going to be doing next after I do this, the other one.
They were all ready to transfer this attachment at once to the son, if he should prove worthy of it.
That's the one I'm doing next,
Very
y'all.
evident, soon after he reached the camp, that he was going to prove himself thus worthy.
I'll be right back.
He entered at once into the duties of his position with a degree of
This one I'm doing
next. And self-denial, which attracted universal attention and made him a universal favorite. He dressed plainly. He assumed no airs. He sought for no pleasures or indulgences, nor demanded any exemption from the dangers and deprivations which the common soldiers had to endure. He ate plain food and slept often in his military cloak on the ground in the midst of the soldiers on guard, and in battle he was always foremost to press forward into the contest, and the last to leave the ground when the time came for repose. The Romans say that, in addition to these qualities, he was inhuman and merciless when in open warfare with his foes, and cunning and treacherous in every other mode of dealing with them. It is very probable that he was so. Such traits of character were considered by soldiers in those days, as they are now, virtues in themselves, no vices in their enemies. However this may be, Hannibal became a great and universal favorite in the army. He went on for several years increasing his military knowledge, and widening and extending his influence, when at length, one day, Hasdrubal was suddenly killed by a ferocious native of the country, whom he had by some means
Yeah, I'm going to be doing that one next. Her cousin,
shock of this
her cousin got it from me.
the leaders of the army went in pursuit of Hannibal, whom they brought in triumph to the tent of Hasdrubal, and instated him at once in the supreme command, with one consent and in the midst of universal acclamations. As soon as news of this event reached Carthage, the government there confirmed the act of the army, and Hannibal found himself suddenly
Damn.
but securely invested with a very high military command. His eager and restless desire to try his strength with the Romans received a new impulse by his finding that the power was now in his hands. Still, the two countries were at peace. They were bound by solemn treaties to continue so. The river Iberus was the boundary which separated the dominions of the two nations from each other in Spain, the territory east of that boundary being under the Roman power, and that on the west under that of the Carthaginians. Except that Saguntum, which was on the western side, was an ally of the Romans, and the Carthaginians were bound by the treaty to leave it independent and free. Hannibal could not, therefore, cross the Iberus or attack Saguntum without an open infraction of the treaty. He, however, immediately began to move towards Saguntum and to attack the nations in the immediate vicinity of it. If he wished to get into a war with the Romans, this was the proper way to promote it, for by advancing thus into the immediate vicinity of the capital of their allies, there was great probability that disputes would arise which would sooner or later end in war.
I want to say congratulations to Time to Scratch Carter for winning the challenge tonight.
A great degree of adroitness in his stratagems. In one instance in these preliminary wars, he gained a victory.
I know he'll never watch mine, but I want to say congratulations to him
He
anyway.
was returning from an inroad upon some of the northern provinces, laden and encumbered with spoil, when he learned that an immense army, consisting, it was said, of 100,000 men, were coming down upon his rear. There was a river at a short distance before him. Hannibal pressed on and crossed the river by a ford, the water being perhaps about 3 feet deep. He secreted a large body of cavalry near the bank of the stream and pushed on with the main body.
If you were here, I would let you hit it, bro.
From the river, so as to produce the impression upon his pursuers.
Trust me, if you were here, I would let you hit it, bro.
The enemy, thinking that they had no time to lose, poured down in great numbers into the stream from various points along the bank. And as soon as they had reached the middle of the current and were wading laboriously, half submerged, with their weapons held above their heads, so as to present as little resistance as possible to the water, the horsemen of Hannibal rushed in to meet and attack them.
Yeah, that was the Ernie Scratch-Off challenge. Yes, it was.
For though their horses were
I read off who won everything earlier, but I'll do it again for you.
while their enemies were
Yeah, that was the Ernie challenge tonight. Yeah.
encumbered by their arms and by one another, were nearly helpless. They were immediately thrown into complete confusion and were overwhelmed and carried down by the current in great numbers. Some of them succeeded in landing below on Hannibal's side, but in the meantime the main body of his army had returned and was ready to receive them, and they were trampled underfoot by the elephants, which it was the custom to employ in those days
Okay,
as a military force.
here's the rundown
As
of
soon as the river was cleared,
who all won. Time to Scratch won. Oops. Time to Scratch won 200. Rocky Top won 100. Karina won 100. Carter, with Carter winning, he won an extra $80 on the side pot.
On some pretext or other,
75 minus the $5 he put in. So he won a total of $275 tonight with his on and then the side pot. I won on my extra 4 tickets I had to buy. I won 4 matches on this one. I got 4 matches on this one for 20. I got the money bag for double, which is 10. If you guys can see, they're the same number. 51 and 52, back-to-back wins. This is the first time I got a back-to-back win on anyone. Oh, wow. Any ticket in Florida, in Texas for a while. I haven't won back-to-back tickets in a while.
It's easier for him to find pretext for getting indirectly into a war with Saguntum and throwing the odium of the declaration of war on Rome than to persuade the Carthaginian state to renounce the peace and themselves commence hostilities. There was.
Oh, Lucy Warren. What's up, Lucy Warren? How are you, Lucy? Oh, it was Lucy Warren that came in.
Any measures tending to a war with Rome, for they would consider such a war as
cool. I'm still subscribed to her.
Gratifying Hannibal's ambition. The only way, therefore, was to provoke a war by.
Congratulations on the 17,000 subscribers, Lucy.
Saguntum was a very wealthy and powerful city. It was situated about a mile from the sea. The attack upon the place and the defense of it by the inhabitants went on for some time with great vigor. In these operations, Hannibal exposed himself to great danger. He approached at one time so near the wall, in and superintending the arrangements of his soldiers and the planting of his engines, that a heavy javelin, thrown from the parapet, struck him on the thigh. It pierced the flesh and inflicted so severe a wound that he fell immediately and was borne away by the soldiers.
So you're going live on Thursday, Lucy?
Days before he was free from the danger incurred by the loss of blood and the fever which follows such a wound. During all this time, his army was in a great state.
All I won was the $30 altogether.
And suspended.
Annie loves craps. What's up, Annie? How you doing, sweetie?
However, as Hannibal
I won 30 with the extra tickets, Papa Smurf. I didn't win nothing on the $50 ticket. I lost on that.
Weapons of warfare in those ancient days were entirely different from those which are now employed, and there was one described by an ancient historian as used by the Saguntines at this siege, which might almost come under the modern denomination of firearms. It was called the philarica. It was a sort of javelin consisting of a shaft of wood with a long point of iron. This point was said to be 3 feet long. This javelin was to be thrown at the enemy either from the hand of the soldier or by an engine. The leading peculiarity of it was, however, that near to the pointed end, there were wound around the wooden shaft long bands of tow.
How you been,
with pitch and other
Annie?
combustibles, and this inflammable band was set
I
on
hope you've
fire
been well.
before the javelin was thrown. As the missile flew on its way, the wind fanned the flames and made them burn so fiercely that when the javelin struck the shield of the soldier opposing it, it could not be pulled out, and the shield itself had to be thrown down and abandoned. While the inhabitants of Saguntum were vainly endeavoring to defend themselves against their terrible enemy by these and similar means, their ambassadors, not knowing that their city had been attacked, had reached Rome and had laid before the Roman Senate their fears that the city would be attacked unless they adopted vigorous and immediate measures to prevent.
So if you guys want to know what, okay, Cass, appreciate you coming back, sweetie.
To demand of him what his intentions were, and to
You
warn
just
him
got home. All right, cool. You're home. Glad you're home, and you didn't keep it. Appreciate it. You're a nice woman too, Annie. I appreciate it, sweetie. We need to do a panel together sometime. What's up, Herman? You just got home too, Herman? Annie, we need to do a panel sometime. Wasted your time. Yeah, they probably told you what you already knew, right? I hate when hospitals do that. Oh, well, I already know why. I know why. I think I have. I know what I got. Why did it? Oh, I paused it this way.
It's good to-
Oh, to let you all know. To let you all know what we're listening to. We're listening to Hannibal. The name of the book is Hannibal. It's an audio book. We're listening to it.
Arrived on the coast.
I'm already on chapter 2. I just started it tonight.
Had commenced, and the city was hotly besieged. They were at a loss to know what to do. It is better for a rebel not to hear an order which he is determined beforehand not to obey. Hannibal, with an adroitness which the Carthaginians called sagacity, and the Romans treachery and cunning, determined not to see these messengers. He sent word to them at the shore that they must not attempt to.
Man, they do that shit to me too, Cassie. They waste my fucking time. I go there to get advice from them and get medication to take. But that's the reason why I really don't take medication anymore, man.
The urgency of his military works, to have any time to spare for debates and negotiations. Hannibal knew that the ambassadors, being thus repulsed, and having found too that the war had broken out, and that Saguntum was actually beset and besieged by Hannibal's armies, would proceed immediately to Carthage to demand satisfaction there. He knew also that Hanno and his party would very probably espouse the cause for the Romans.
All right, Papa Smurf.
To arrest his designs. He accordingly sent his own ambassadors to Carthage to exert an influence in his favor in the Carthaginian Senate and endeavor to
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
the claims of the Romans and allow the war between Rome and Carthage to break out again. The Roman ambassadors.
So you're going live on Thursday, Lucy? I'll try to be to your channel when you're live.
Their case, representing that
I know you got it set up for the 26th, so
and had refused even to receive the communication which had been sent him.
I'll try to be there when you go live to give you some support.
The government should disavow his acts and deliver him up to them in order that he might receive the punishment which his violation of the treaty and his aggressions upon an ally of the Romans so justly deserved. The party of Hannibal in the Carthaginian Senate was, of course, earnest to have these proposals rejected with scorn. The other side, with Hanno at their head, maintained that they were reasonable demands. Hanno, in a very energetic and powerful speech, told the Senate that he had warned them not to send Hannibal into Spain. He had foreseen that such a hot and turbulent spirit as his would involve them in inextricable difficulties with the Roman power. Hannibal had, he said, plainly violated the treaty. He had invested and besieged Saguntum, which they were solemnly bound not to molest, and they had nothing to expect in return but that the Roman legions would soon be investing and besieging their own city. In the meantime, the Romans, he added, had been moderate and forbearing. They had brought nothing to the charge of the Carthaginians.
Right there it is, Annie. I put it in the chat for you.
Who, thus far, alone was guilty. The Carthaginians, by disavowing his acts, could save themselves from the responsibility of them. He urged, therefore, that an embassage of apology should be sent to Rome, that Hannibal should be deposed and delivered up to the Romans, and that ample
Shout out to the 7 in the chat. Appreciate for the 9 likes, guys. I appreciate it.
On the other hand, the friends of Hannibal urged in the Carthaginian Senate their defense of the general. They reviewed the history of the transactions in which the war had originated and showed, or attempted to show, that the Saguntines themselves commenced hostilities, and that consequently they, and not Hannibal, were responsible for all that followed. That under those circumstances the Romans ought not to take their part, and if they did so, it proved that they preferred the friendship of Saguntum to that of Carthage, and that it would be cowardly and dishonorable in the extreme for them to deliver the general whom they had placed in power, and who had shown himself so worthy of their choice by his courage and energy, into the hands of their ancient and implacable foes. Thus Hannibal was waging at the same time 2 wars, one in the Carthaginian Senate, where the weapons were arguments and eloquence, and the other under the walls of Saguntum, which was fought with battering rams and fiery javelins. He conquered in both. The Senate decided to send the
Oh, you're welcome, Annie. I appreciate that. All right, Papa Smoke. Damn, you went to quick. How far was the recycling station from you? Right outside your door?
Terms of compromise and resisted to the last, so that when the victorious soldiery broke over the prostrate walls and poured into the city, it was given up to them to plunder, and they killed and destroyed all that came in their way. The disappointed ambassadors returned to Rome with the news that Saguntum had been taken and destroyed by Hannibal, and that the Carthaginians, far from offering any satisfaction for the wrong, assumed the responsibility of it themselves and were preparing for war. Thus Hannibal accomplished his purpose of opening the way for waging war against the Roman power. He prepared to enter into the contest with the utmost energy and zeal. The conflict that
Oh, God.
17 years
Oh, I wasn't even thinking, bro.
was the second
My mind's somewhere else, I guess, right now. My bad.
It's one of the most dreadful struggles between rival and hostile nations, which the gloomy history of mankind exhibits to view. The events that occurred will be described in the subsequent chapters. End of chapter 2.
And-
Recording by Haley Flagg of Texas.
Chapter 3 of Hannibal. This is a LibriVox recording.
My bad.
LibriVox recordings are
Recycled your tea? Damn, how much did you drink?
For to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Sławek Księżycki. Hannibal by Jacob Abbott. Chapter 3. Opening of the Second Punic War. When the tide once turns in any nation in favor of war, it generally rushes on with great impetuosity and force, and bears all before it. It was so in Carthage in this instance. The party of Hanno were thrown entirely into the minority and silenced, and the friends and partisans of Hannibal carried not only the government
And go see how comes
authority with them, and everybody was
Oh,
eager
let me right back. Shoot.
This was owing, in part, to the natural contagiousness of the martial spirit which, when felt by one, catches easily by sympathy in the heart of another. It is a fire which, when once it begins to burn, spreads in every direction and consumes all that comes in its way. Besides, when Hannibal gained possession of Saguntum, he found immense treasures there, which he employed not to increase his own private fortune, but to strengthen and confirm his civil and military power. The Saguntines did everything they could to prevent these treasures from falling into his hands. They fought desperately to the last, refused all terms of surrender, and they became so insanely desperate in the end that, according to the narrative of Livy, when they found that the walls and towers of the city were falling in, and that all hope of further defense was gone, they built an enormous fire in the public streets and heaped upon it all the treasures which they had time to collect, that fire could destroy, and then that many of the principal inhabitants leaped into the flames themselves, in order that their hated conquerors might lose their prisoners as well as their spoils. Notwithstanding this, however, Hannibal obtained a vast amount of gold and silver, both
Damn, a gallon or more a day. That's crazy, bro.
and also much
A gallon or more of tea a day.
which the
Well, I can't bitch too bad. I can't say anything too much
their
because.
palaces and warehouses. He used all these
Are you coming in here,
to strengthen his own political and military position.
babe?
Made his soldiers
Damn it! I forgot to get a bag. That's why I
years
keep going out there.
due to them
What the fuck? I keep forgetting to get what I went out there for.
a large addition
I keep forgetting what I went out there
share
for.
of the spoil. He sent rich trophies home to Carthage and presents consisting of sums of money and jewelry and gems to his friends here and to those whom he wished to make his friends. The result of this munificence and of the renown which his victories in Spain had procured for him was to raise him to the highest pinnacle of influence and honor. The Carthaginians chose him one of the Sophetes. The Sophetes were the supreme executive officers of the Carthaginian Commonwealth. The government was, as has been remarked before, a sort of aristocratic republic, and republics are always very cautious about entrusting power, even executive power, to any one man. As Rome had two consuls reigning jointly at France after her first revolution, a directory of 5, so the Carthaginians chose annually 2 Sophetes, as they were called at Carthage, though the Roman writers called them indiscriminately Sophetes, consuls, and kings, so that in conjunction with his colleague, he held the supreme civil authority in Carthage, besides being invested with the command of the vast and imperious army in Spain. When news of these events,
That's a good light, Cassie.
the destruction of Saguntum, the rejection of the demands of the Roman ambassadors, and the vigorous preparations made
There's a good light at the hospital.
war reached Rome, the whole city was thrown into consternation.
Like I said, I'm glad you made it home.
And the people held tumultuous and disorderly assemblies, in which the events which had occurred and the course of proceeding which it was incumbent on the Romans to take were discussed with much excitement and clamor. The Romans were, in fact, afraid of the Carthaginians. The campaigns of Hannibal in Spain had impressed the people with a strong sense of remorseless and terrible energy of his character. They at once
Yeah,
concluded
tea's not that
his
bad.
plans would be formed
Depends on what kind of tea you drink, though.
Italy,
In
and
my,
they even anticipated
you drink
the
sweet tea, you're still getting all that damn sugar.
the very gates of the
You're still getting all that sugar.
so as to threaten them with the destruction which he had brought upon Saguntum. The event showed how justly they appreciated his character. Since the conclusion of the First Punic War, there had been peace between the Romans and Carthaginians.
Homemade eliminator
for
tea,
about a quarter
gotcha.
of a
And
century. During all this time, both nations had been advancing in wealth and power, but the Carthaginians had made much more rapid progress than the Romans. The Romans had indeed been very successful at the outset in the former war, but in the end, the Carthaginians had proved themselves their equals.
Teddy bear, come out of the bushes. I know you're in the bushes. You were in my
Now a fresh
You were the first person in my stream earlier.
Let on as they were now to be.
Come out of the bushes, Ted.
Commander as Hannibal.
Hold on, guys.
They
Let me
determined, therefore, to send a second
do
embassy
something real
to
quick.
Carthage, with a view
Hold
of
on.
making one more effort to preserve peace before actually commencing hostilities. They accordingly selected 5 men from among the most influential citizens of the state, men of venerable age and of great public consideration, and commissioned them to proceed to Carthage and ask once more whether it was the deliberate and final decision of
There
the
you go.
Carthaginian Senate to avow and sustain the action of Hannibal. This solemn embassage set sail. They arrived at Carthage. They appeared before the Senate. They argued their cause, but it was of course to deaf and unwilling ears. The Carthaginian orators replied to them, each side attempting to throw the blame of the violation of the treaty on the other.
I love brisk tea.
It was
I
a
love
solemn
brisk tea in the Arizona tea, the Arnold Palmer Arizona tea. I used to drink that, but the taste wasn't there for me anymore. That's why I stopped drinking it.
On the issue of the debate. Unhappily, the bridge was only widened by the discussion. Very well, said the Roman commissioners at last. We offer you peace or war.
That is
Which
expensive,
do you
Annie.
choose? Whichever you please, replied the Carthaginians. Decide for yourselves. War then, said the Romans, since it must be so. The conference was broken up, and the ambassadors returned to Rome. They returned.
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. If it's gonna keep you healthy, man, pay what you need to pay to keep yourself healthy. You know?
The various kingdoms and tribes in Spain and in France.
I mean, 'cause that's what I would do.
Would have to march and invade.
Yeah, make your own. It's healthier.
Endeavor in them to take sides
I agree.
with the Romans. They were too late, however, for Hannibal had contrived to extend and establish his influence in all that region too strongly to be shaken, so that on one pretext or another, the Roman proposals were all rejected. There was one powerful tribe, for example, called the Volscians. The ambassadors, in the presence of the Great Council of the Volscians, made known to them the probability of war, and invited them to ally themselves with the Romans. The Volscians rejected the proposition with a sort of scorn. We see, said they, from the fate of Saguntum, what is to be expected to result from an alliance with the Romans. After leaving that city defenseless and alone in its struggle against such terrible danger, it is in vain to ask other nations to trust to your protection. If you wish for new allies, it will be best for you to go where the story of Saguntum is not known. This answer of the Volscians was applauded by the other nations of Spain, as far as it was known, and the Roman ambassadors, despairing of success in that country, went on into Gaul, which is the name by which the country now called France is known in antiquity.
Oh, okay, cool. That's cool. It's good for animals too. That's cool.
A certain point of influence and power in Gaul, the Roman commissioners convened a great martial council there. The spectacle presented by this assembly was very imposing, for the warlike councillors came to the meeting armed completely and in the most formidable manner, as if they were coming to a battle instead of a consultation and debate. The venerable ambassadors laid the subject before them. They
Chicago Bears.
on the power and great
Chicago Bears is my favorite team.
and on the certainty that they should conquer in the approaching contest. And they invited the Gauls to espouse their cause and to rise in arms and intercept Hannibal's passage through their country if he should attempt to effect one.
I'm not waiting all day for you.
The assembly
You know you're gonna have to leave them out there for a little bit longer.
the ambassadors through, and as soon as they had finished their address, the whole council broke forth into cries of dissent and displeasure, and even into shouts of derision. Order was at length restored, and the officers whose duty it was to express the sentiments of the assembly gave for their reply that the Gauls had never received anything but
Oh, you already know about that, Papa Smurf.
or
I'm not a
anything but
Lions fan.
kindness and goodwill from Carthage, and that they had no idea of being guilty of
I'm not a Lions fan, a Packers fan, or a Minnesota Vikings fan. I don't like any one of those teams.
Of their own heads merely for the sake of averting it from their ancient and implacable foes. Thus, the ambassadors were everywhere repulsed. They found no friendly disposition toward the Roman power till they had crossed the Rhone. Hannibal began now to form his plans in a very deliberate and cautious manner for a march into Italy. He knew very well that this was an expedition of such magnitude and duration as to require beforehand the most careful and well-considered arrangements, both for the forces which were to go.
Eagles. I got the Eagles and the Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl again this year.
Was coming on. His first measure was to dismiss a large portion of his.
I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that. Now, don't get me wrong. They are a good team. Don't get me wrong. But, man.
Which might take them to a great distance and keep them for a long time absent from Spain. And he would accordingly give them the intervening time to visit their families and their homes and to arrange their affairs. This act of kind consideration and confidence renewed the attachment of the soldiers to their commander, and they returned to his camp in the spring not only with new strength and vigor, but with redoubled attachment to the service in which they were engaged.
Seattle's 3-0. You better watch out for Seattle. Seattle's 3-0.
Himself to New Carthage, which, as will be seen by the map,
what is she doing?
Than Saguntum, where he went into winter.
What are you talking about?
Devoted himself to the maturing of his designs. Besides the necessary preparations for his own march,
but they got a good quarterback, though, Papa Smurf. But they got a good quarterback, though, in Jared Goff.
Various and ingenious plans to prevent the danger of insurrections and rebellions while he was gone. One was to organize an army for Spain out of soldiers drawn from Africa, while the troops which were to be employed to garrison Carthage and to sustain the government there were taken from Spain. By thus changing the troops of the two countries, each country was controlled by foreign soldiery who were more likely to be faithful in their obedience to their commanders and less in danger of sympathizing with the populations which they were respectively employed to control, than if each had been retained in its own native land. Hannibal knew very well that the various states and provinces of Spain, which had refused to ally themselves with the Romans and abandon him, had been led to do this through the influence of his presence or the fear of his power, and that if, after he had penetrated into Italy, he should meet with reverses, so as to diminish very much their hope of deriving benefit from his favor, or their fear of his power, there would be great danger of defections and revolts. As an additional security against this, he adopted the following ingenious plan. He enlisted a body of troops from among all the nations of Spain that were in alliance with him, selecting the young men who were enlisted as much as possible from families of consideration and influence. And this body of
Aiden Hutchinson is a beast, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna give flowers where flowers are due.
Tribes from which they were drawn to understand that he considered them not only.
They did do great last year, Andy. They did. They really did do great last year.
Which he should hold as security for the fidelity and obedience of the countries from which they had come. The number of these soldiers was 4,000.
I don't have a Facebook right now, Papa Smurf.
Brother, whose name
I gotta start me another Facebook, man. Just so I can do Facebook Reels with my cat videos and my cat videos.
during his absence. the soldiers provided for him.
I know that. That's why I'm saying though, you better watch out for Seattle, man.
Drawn from Africa. In addition to the foot soldiers, he provided him with a small.
Seattle surprising me this year, 3-0.
With him also 14 elephants. And as he thought it not improbable that the Romans might, in some
That's surprising the shit out of me, man.
absence, make a descent upon the Spanish coast from the sea, he built and equipped for him a small fleet of about 60 vessels, 50 of which were of the first class. In modern times,
I got Philadelphia, my bad. Philadelphia, not Seattle. I got Philadelphia and the Chiefs going back to the Super Bowl again this year.
then it was the number of banks of oars. 50 of Hasdrubal's ships were kinkarems, as they were called. That is,
And I got
5
the
banks
Chiefs
of oars.
winning the first 3-peat in NFL history.
Neglect their own preparations. Though reluctant to enter upon the war, they still prepared to engage in it
Yeah.
with their characteristic energy and ardor when they found that it could not be averted. They resolved on raising 2 powerful armies, one for each of the consuls. The plan was, with one of these to advance to meet Hannibal, and with the other to proceed to Sicily, and from Sicily to the African coast, with a view of threatening the Carthaginian capital. This plan, if successful, would compel the Carthaginians to recall a part or the whole of Hannibal's army from the intended invasion.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
Defend their own
We'll see. Like I mean, I had them last year when they won, when they were in the Super Bowl last year. I said they're going to be in the Super Bowl again this year. They're too good of a team. But guess what? What is the Eagles' record? Hold on, let me check. Hold on.
And in the islands of the Mediterranean Sea, which were
What is the Philadelphia Eagles' record in NFL?
Of these troops, 6,000 were cavalry. Of course, as the Romans intended to cross into Africa, they needed a fleet. They built and equipped one, which consisted of 200.
No way, dude.
Of the largest class, that is, kinkarems. Besides, a number of smaller and lighter.
Not better than the Eagles. Hell no. What, the Eagles went? The Eagles are 2-1 right now, and this because the Saints are 2-1 right now because the Eagles beat them.
Mention is occasionally made of those which had 6 and even
Who
7
are the
large
0-3
force,
teams in the
but
NFL?
these were only employed as the flagships of commanders and for other purposes.
Yeah, they're 2-1 right now. Yeah.
Parade, as they were too unwieldy for efficient service in action. Lots were then drawn in a very solemn manner, according to the Roman custom of such occasions, to decide on the assignment of these 2 armies to the respective consuls. The one, destined to meet Hannibal on his way from Spain, fell to a consul named Cornelius Scipio. The name of the other was Sempronius. It devolved on him, consequently, to take charge of the expedition destined to Sicily and Africa.
I'm gonna find out right now. I think Detroit. Well, I'll tell you right now, Papa Smurf. What is the Detroit Lions record?
The Roman people for their final vote and decision. Do the Roman people decide and decree that war shall be declared against the Carthaginians? The decision was in the affirmative. The war was then proclaimed with the usual imposing ceremony.
The Lions are 2-1. The Vikings are 3-0.
Celebrations followed to propitiate the favor of the gods.
Okay, here we go.
Inspired the soldiers.
The Bears are okay. The Vikings are 3-0. The Lions are 2-1. Green Bay's 2-1. Bears are 1-2. The Saints are 2-1. The Buccaneers are 2-1. The Falcons are 1-2. The Panthers are 1-2. The Washington Commanders are 2-1. The Eagles are 2-1. The Giants are 1-2. The Cowboys are 1-2. Seattle is 3-0. Cardinals are 1-2. Rams are 1-2. 49ers are 1-2. Steelers are 3-0. The Ravens are 1-2. The Browns are 1-2. The Bengals are 0-3. The Chiefs are 3-0. The Chargers are 2-1. The Raiders are 1-2. The Broncos are 1-2. The Tennessee, the Houston Texans are 2-1. The Indianapolis Colts are 1-2. Jaguars are 0-3. The Titans are 0-3. Buffalo Bills are 3-0. The Jets are 2-1. The Dolphins are 1-2. And the Patriots are 1-2.
And besides, in those days, the common soldiers had no access to those.
Bears are 1-2. Yes, yes, the Bears are 1-2. Papa Smurf. But you got to remember, they got a rookie quarterback, man, that's starting. You guys got to remember that they got a rookie quarterback, man.
Well-informed citizens, both in Rome and Carthage, anticipated and understood Hannibal's designs. His own soldiers, ignorant and degraded, knew nothing except that they were to go on some distant and dangerous service. They very likely had no idea whatever of Italy or of Rome or of the magnitude of the possessions or of the power held by the vast empire which they were going to invade. When, however, after traveling day after day, they came to the foot of the Pyrenees and found that they were really going to pass that mighty chain of mountains, and for this purpose were actually entering its wild and gloomy defiles, the courage of some of them failed, and they began to murmur. The discontent and alarm were in fact so great.
All right, Annie, I appreciate it, sweetie. Yeah, definitely do that. Yeah, definitely.
3,000 men left the camp in a body and moved.
Yeah, no problem, for
their
sure.
homes. On inquiry, Hannibal found that there were 10,000 more who were in a similar state of feeling. His whole force consisted of over 100,000. And now, what does the reader imagine that Hannibal would do in such an emergency? Would he return in pursuit of these deserters to recapture and destroy them as a terror to the rest? Or would he let them go and attempt by words of conciliation and encouragement to confirm and save those that yet remained? He did neither. He called together the 10,000 discontented troops that were still in his camp and told them that, since they were afraid to accompany his army or unwilling to do so, they might return. He wanted none in his service who had not the courage and fortitude to go on wherever he might lead. He would not have the faint-hearted and
Whoa.
they would only be a burden to load down and impede the courage and energy of the rest. So saying, he gave orders for them to return, and with the rest of the army, whose resolution and ardor were redoubled by this.
All right, Annie, I appreciate you. Yeah, just tag us in it, sweetie. We'll appreciate it.
The mountains.
Yeah, just tag us in it.
Hannibal, in permitting his discontented soldiers to return, had all the effect of a deed of generosity in its influence upon the minds of the soldiers who went on. We must not, however, imagine that it was prompted by a spirit of generosity at all. It was policy. A seeming generosity was, in this case, exactly what was wanted to answer his ends. Hannibal was mercilessly cruel in all cases where he imagined.
Oh, yeah, no, I never said the Bears were going to do anything. That's the reason why I said I picked the Chiefs and the Eagles to go back to the Super Bowl. I got to give that quarterback some time, bro, to fucking adjust to the roster, his teammates, the playbook, all that shit, man. That's why I said that. I give them 5 years, bro, and they'll do something, bro. I'm not counting on the Bears to do anything in the next 5 years. Hold on, guys. I'll be right back. I'll use that.
The next difficulty that he anticipated was in crossing the river Rhone. End of chapter 3. Recording by Sławek Księżycki.
Oh, no. I use my soul. That's mama's medicine.
Yeah, for my hand. Well, there you go.
Ibuprofen?
You and Jason can have those things. Oh crap, I don't. Ugh. Well, that one you did. No, I did.
Make me some tomorrow. You don't have to make it now, tonight. Just make it tomorrow. Who used to be great?
No, that's okay.
Yeah, they used to be great in the 80s, the Monsters of the Midway. They used to be called Monsters of the Midway. The Super Bowl Shuffle. Nobody else had a better NFL theme song than the Bears. The Super Bowl Shuffle. Who remembers the Super Bowl Shuffle?
There, that's all y'all get. Huh?
You're picking who over the Rams? Does the Chicago Bears play the Rams? Who does the Chicago Bears play this week coming up in the NFL?
21-16 Colts.
Nobody else had a better NFL theme song than the Bears. The Super Bowl Shuffle. Who remembers the Super Bowl? Yeah. You know, he's the only defensive. Well, not. I don't know if he's the only now. Hold on, I'll check in a minute. Who is the only defensive player to score a touchdown in the NFL on offense? Jim McMahon, you mean? Ed McMahon? No. Ed McMahon is from the Chicago Bears schedule.
Last Sunday, the Bears played the Colts. The final
Oh,
score
yeah.
was 21-16 Colts.
We got them playing. I got the Bears winning Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford's rich ass. Came from a rich ass family here in Highland Park, Texas. Oops. Hold on. Where is Matthew Stafford from? Born and raised?
Matthew Stafford was
Tampa, Florida. I keep thinking Tampa, Florida. He went to college. Where did he go to college at?
According to Wikipedia, he played college football for the Georgia Bulldogs and was selected first overall by the Detroit Lions in the 2009 NFL Draft.
What's up, Public Scum? Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, we got Rams this week. Yeah, I see that.
Chapter 4 of Hannibal. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the
I'm listening to Hannibal now, Public Scum.
volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Sławek Księżycki. Hannibal by Jacob Abbott.
Yeah, he was. Papa Smurf, he was.
Passage of the Rhone. Hannibal,
Walter Payton.
past the Pyrenees, did not anticipate any new difficulty till he should arrive at the Rhone. He knew very well that was a broad and rapid river.
This is the one I'm doing next, so Hobo Scum.
Near its mouth, where the water was deep and the banks
Bro,
low.
I'm not going to be able to get that 100 centimeter by 40 centimeter, bro.
The Romans who were
This is the one I'm doing next, Hobo Scum.
Cornelius Scipio might have reached the Rhone before he should arrive there and be ready upon the banks to dispute his passage.
You know he boxed? He was in a boxing match?
Small detachment in advance.
Refrigerated Perry was in the boxing match?
And select a route to the Rhone, and if they met with no difficulties to arrest them there, they were to
It's a
go
30 by 30. Hobo Scum, it's a 30 by 30.
passages and defiles through which his army could best cross those snow-covered mountains.
Hey, you guys can drop your own links if you want to, or just hit the person's name and go to their channel and subscribe to him if you want.
The tribes through whose territories he had to pass,
Y'all got
and he consequently had to attack them and reduce them by force.
No, they're in the it's a public domain, Papa Smurf. It's public domain.
To keep them in subjection. Rumors of this reached Gaul. The Gauls were alarmed for their own safety. They had not intended to oppose Hannibal so long as they supposed that he only wished for a safe passage through their country on his way to Italy. But now, when they found from what had occurred in Spain that he was going to conquer the countries he traversed.
Yeah, bro, something with Timu, bro. It keeps blocking my damn account for some reason.
And assembled in haste at
It keeps saying that I have hold on, I'll tell you right now through the email they sent me.
Ruscino was the same place as that in which the Roman ambassadors met the great council of the Gauls on their return to Italy from Carthage. While this great council, or rather assembly of armies, was gathering at Ruscino, full of threats and anger, Hannibal was at Illiberis, a town at the foot of the Pyrenean mountains.
They keep blocking it for some reason, bro. They refunded me a $67 order, bro. For some reason, because they said that there was multiple I don't fucking remember what they called it now.
In contending with such foes as they, when the road to
I'll tell you right now, hold on.
Besides, the passes of the Alps, which are difficult and laborious at any time, are utterly impracticable except in the months of July and August. At all other seasons.
All right, Annie, I got your email if you're still here.
Days blocked up with impassable snows. In modern times, roads have been made with galleries cut through the rock and with the exposed places protected by sloping roofs projecting from above, over which storms.
Oh, here it is. This is what the fuck they sent me, and this is what they said. We have detected unusual payment activity on your Temu order. For your protection, we have temporarily placed. Hold on.
All the year. In Hannibal's time, however, the mount.
This is the email they sent me, Homoscom. It says, hello, we have detected unusual payment activity on your Temu order. For your protection, we have temporarily placed your order on hold. If you are unable to confirm your payment information within 72 hours, your pending order will be canceled. Your order will remain on hold until we are able to confirm that you are the authorized owner of the payment method used in it. For us to continue processing your order, please click the verify ownership. Once you have provided the required information, we will review it and respond within 48 hours. We are sorry for your inconvenience this may have caused. That's what the hell they sent me. Yeah, I got your email. I saw it. Appreciate it. That's the type of shit they sent me, and this is the second time it's happened. All right, Papa Smurf, thank you for coming, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's the second time it happened to me. I hit verify order. Verify ownership. I'm hitting verified ownership. Continue. 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 Verify ownership. Here I go again. I'm gonna have to do this. I'll do this shit later, man. I got 72 hours to do it anyway from today. Yeah, but that's what they told me, Hobo Scum. That's the shit I've been going through with these motherfuckers, man. This is the second time that this shit has happened to me. It's bullshit, man.
Could not be traversed.
I got to get the last four of my card number and my bank name for them to verify that it's me. So I'm going to have to take a picture of my card, not showing the whole number, the last four they want, and they want the bank name, which is Green Dot Bank. That's what I've been using.
Made this case one of those in which forbearance and a show of generosity were called for instead of defiance and force.
That's not all of a sudden they want that shit. Oh, and I forgot to tell them. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Hey, the only way their princess in person, and that if they pleased, he would advance for this purpose toward Rusino, or they might, if they preferred, come on toward him at Illiberis, where he would await their arrival. He invited them to come freely into his camp, and said that he was ready, if they were willing to receive him, to go into theirs, for he had come to Gaul as a friend and an ally, and wanted nothing but a free passage through their territory. He had made a resolution, he said, if the Gauls would but allow him to keep it, that there should not be a single sword drawn in his army till he got into Italy. The alarm and feelings of hostility which prevailed among the Gauls were allied by this message.
Yeah, I know, bro. That's crazy, bro. They're making me fucking verify my payment method that way. They're making it verify that way, bro.
Okay, where's my other phone?
Damn. I got two more to put in there now. It's over here. I was using it as for the.
Hey, little fart, come here.
Instead of opposing
Hunter, Hunter boy.
Look at Hunter boy. I'm sorry. Thank you. Almost gonna appreciate that. Look at Hunter boy. Say hi, Hunter.
As to form a raft.
I
The
love you.
form and fashion of their craft was of no consequence, they said, as it was for one passage only.
What?
Anything
What?
would answer if it
What,
would
little
only
Hunter?
float
He
and
came outside. I mean, I was in the bathroom using the bathroom,
time
and I heard the cat crying real bad.
looked on, but they could
What?
do nothing to impede these operations.
Crying real bad. So I went outside to look to see where it was coming from.
Such
And I
was
walked out in the yard, and he was running along the side of the porch, man. And he came and he crawled right up my pant leg. I was like, dang, I gotta bring him inside, man. He was crying like that. There was something going on real bad. So I brought him in, and he's been with us ever since.
Hunter, Hunter.
But the enemy in this case had nothing but spares and
Well, Hunter
arrows
boy, I
and
see you looking at
stones
me.
to be thrown either by the hand or by engines far too weak to send them with any effect
Hunter,
across
Hunter.
such a stream. They had to look on quietly, therefore, and allow these great and formidable preparations for an attack upon them to go on without
What's he
interruption.
doing? What's he
Their
doing?
only hope was to overwhelm the army with their missiles and prevent their landing when they should reach the bank at last in their attempt to cross the stream.
You're lucky I'm on
If
it.
an army is crossing a river without any enemy,
Hunter,
then
Hunter.
a moderate number of
Hunter.
boats will
Hey.
serve as a part of
What are you
the
trying to
army
eat on the
be
floor?
transported at a time, and the whole
Probably
gradually
pretzel.
transferred from one bank to the other
Hunter,
by
Hunter.
repeated trips of the same conveyances. But when there is an enemy to encounter at the landing,
Hunter, Hunter.
it is necessary to provide the means of carrying over a very large force at a time, for if a small division were to go over first alone, it would only throw itself weak and defenseless into the hands of the enemy.
I thought Hope's Gum was
Hannibal therefore
live.
waited until he had
He
boats,
probably
rafts, and
is.
floats enough constructed to carry over a force altogether sufficiently numerous and powerful
Hunter.
to attack the enemy with a prospect of success. The Romans, as we have already remarked, say that Hannibal's was cunning. He certainly was not disposed, like Alexander, to trust in his battles to simple superiority of bravery and force, but was always contriving some stratagem to increase the chances of victory. He did so in this case. He kept up for many days a prodigious
What are you
parade
doing?
and bustle of building boats and rafts in sight of his enemy, as if
Hey,
his sole
Gracie Kitten.
reliance was on the multitude of men that he
Man, I
could
gotta
pour
turn this hair
across
back
the
on.
river
Jesus
at a
Christ.
single transportation, and thus kept their
Here's your
attention
phone, babe.
closely riveted upon these
Before I break it
preparations.
anymore,
Yeah, no
All this
joke.
time,
glass
however,
any more than it
he
already
had
is.
another plan in course of execution. He had sent a strong body of troops secretly up the river, with orders to make their way stealthily through the forests and cross the stream some few miles above. This force was intended to move back from the river as soon as it should cross the stream and come down upon the enemy in the rear, so as to attack and harass them there at the same time that Hannibal was crossing with the main body of the army. If they succeeded in crossing the river safely, they were to build a fire in the woods on the other side in order that the column of smoke which should ascend from it might serve
What are you
as a
doing, boy?
signal of their success to
What is he
Hannibal.
doing?
This
Look down.
detachment was commanded by an officer named Hanno. Of course,
What
he
you
was a
doing?
different man from Hannibal's great
What you
enemy
doing?
of that name in
What
Carthage.
you doing?
Hanno set out in the night, moving back from the river, in commencing his march so as to be entirely out of sight from the gulls on the other side. He had some guides belonging to the country who promised to show him a convenient place for crossing. The party went up the river about 25 miles. Here they found a place where the water spread to a greater width and where the current was less rapid and the water not so deep. They got to this place in silence and secrecy, their enemies below not having suspected any such design. As they had therefore nobody to oppose them, They could cross much more easily than the main army below. They made some rafts for carrying over those of the men that could not swim and such munitions of war as would be injured by the wet. The rest of the men...
Man, hopefully I get this job tomorrow, guys. Pray for me that I get this job tomorrow, man. I gotta go for the second interview. This is the second interview.
Is it?
Yeah. At Carly's, remember? This is the second interview.
Charlie's.
I say Carly's, it's Carly.
It's Charlie's.
I call it Charlie's, Carly's, whatever.
It's Charlie's.
I'll start calling it Charlie when I get the job.
How?
When I get the job, I'll
No,
start calling it
It's
Carly.
Charlie.
Okay, it's Charlie. How could I forget that? That's my brother's name.
Yeah, no duh.
It's my brother's damn name. It's spelled different, though.
No, it's not. It's C-H-A-R-L. I think it's Y or it's I-E.
Spelled wrong. His actual name is Charles. Charles.
No.
C-H-R-I-L-E-S is his real name.
How?
It's spelled real name is C-H-A-R-I-L-E-S. It's Charles. It's spelled Charles. But we
What
call
is
him
it?
Charlie. His real name, his birth name is Charles.
But you don't understand. It's a freaking restaurant. Charlie's.
The most vigorous and efficient portion of the army.
No, well, who cares? Because I don't. As long as I get the damn job, then I'll call it by its real name.
Remained behind with the stores and munitions of war to be transported afterward when the first passage should have been effected. All this time, the enemy on the opposite shore were getting their ranks in array and making everything.
I hear you. What are you doing?
Assault upon the invaders.
He's over there playing with the freaking vacuum cleaner.
There was something
You playing
like
with the vacuum
silence and
cleaner, little
order
buddy?
during the period
You playing
when
with the
men
vacuum
were
cleaner?
embarking and pushing out from the land.
Hunter, Hunter boy. Hi, Hunter, Hunter boy. Hi, Hunter, Hunter boy. I love you. What's up, Scratchmaster? How you doing, bud?
By which the boats and rafts were carried down the stream or wheeled against each other soon produced a terrific scene of tumult and
All right, Junebug. Appreciate you, sweetie.
as soon as the first boats
Junebug's been a member for a whole year for me. I appreciate that, Junebug. I already know what that color is. 12 months she's been a member of my channel. She's the longest member on my channel, Junebug. Shout out to you, Junebug. I appreciate you, sweetie. She's the longest member on my channel. The closest one to her is 6 months.
Hannibal's officers urged the boats on and endeavored to
Are you really going to play with that damn... Well,
operation as possible.
he's playing with it. Look.
I know he
It is
is.
perhaps doubtful how the contest would have ended had it not been
He's going after his own damn tail. That's why.
which now came suddenly into
Going
action,
after his own tail.
while the Gauls were
No, he's
in
not.
the height of
Yeah, he
their
was
power.
just now. He almost fell backwards because of it.
Back the Carthaginians from the back, they were thunderstruck at hearing the shouts and cries of an enemy behind them, and on looking around, they saw the troops of Hanno pouring down upon them from the thickets with terrible impetuosity and force. It is very difficult for an army to fight both in front and in the rear at the same time. The Gauls, after a brief struggle, abandoned the attempt any longer to oppose Hannibal's landing. They fled down the river and back into the interior, leaving Hanno in secure possession of the bank, while Hannibal and his forces came up at their leisure out of the water, finding friends instead of enemies to receive them. The remainder of the army, together with the stores and munitions of war, were next to be transported, and this was accomplished with little difficulty now that there was no enemy to disturb their operations. There was one part of the force, however, which occasioned some trouble and delay. It was a body of elephants which formed a part of the army.
Body of elephants? Wow.
These unwieldy animals across so
This is Hannibal this time, babe.
Oh,
was a
geez.
question of no little difficulty. There are various accounts of the manner in which Hannibal accomplished the object, from which it would seem that different methods were employed. One mode was as follows. The keeper of the elephants selected one more spirited and passionate in disposition than the rest, and tried to tease and torment him so as to make him angry. The elephant advanced towards his keeper with his trunk raised to take vengeance. The keeper fled. The elephant pursued him, the other elephants of the herd following, as is the habit of the animal on such occasions. The keeper ran into the water as if to elude his pursuer, while the elephant and a large part of the herd pressed on after him. The man swam into the channel, and the elephants, before they could check themselves, found that they were beyond their depth. Some swam on after the keeper and crossed the river, where they were easily secured. Others, terrified, abandoned themselves to the current
I have
and
no
were
clue what
floated down.
No, he's playing with a piece of paper.
As they went,
Playing with a little piece of paper about this page.
shallows or points of land, whence they came to shore again. Some on one side of the stream, and
Look.
some on the other.
This is
None was
give it back to him.
partially
Okay.
successful, and
He's like, I don't need the paper. Look. Look.
For the remainder of
I don't need it.
He built an immensely large raft, floated it up to the shore, fastened it there
You had it in your mouth because it was wet.
with earth, turf, and bushes.
He had it in his mouth because it was wet.
Resembled the projection of the land. He then caused a second raft to be constructed of the same size, and this he brought up to the outer edge of the other, fastened it there by a temporary connection, and covered and concealed it as he had done the first. The first of these rafts extended 200 feet from the shore, and was 50 feet broad. The other, that is, the outer one, was only a little smaller. The soldiers then contrived to allure and drive the elephants over these rafts to the outer one, the animals imagining that they had not left the land. The two rafts were then
Look at him, mate.
disconnected from each other, and the outer one began to
You don't want that.
Oh, you just over.
Out by a number of birds, which had previously been attached.
You're gonna poop yourself out. Good.
As soon
Good.
as
I
the
hope your head
elephants
does.
received the motion, they were alarmed and began
I hope he does. Man, we gotta wash this out tomorrow, man.
and to crowd towards
What'd your mom do with the ice cream container?
those conveying
I think
them
it's still
away.
in there.
They
Not
found
washed?
themselves hemmed
I don't know.
by water
Let me go
Oh,
check.
wait a minute.
outside and were terrified.
I
It
will-
should be underneath the things.
Some
Where he usually lays at. When,
Were they
Or
all
vice
usually
versa.
like that?
Yeah.
they landed below. The rest soon became calm and allowed themselves to be quietly ferried across the stream, where they found that all hope of escape and resistance were equally vain. In the meantime, while these events were occurring, the troop of 300 which Siegel had sent up the river to see what tidings he could learn of
What the matter, Hunter, Hunter boy?
were slowly making their way toward the point
What the
where
hunty hunty
Hannibal
boy?
was crossing. And it happened that Hannibal had sent down
That's what I was gonna put in.
500 when he first
Well, no, these are the old ones anyway.
to see if they could learn
I don't
the
need
tidings
these
of the
in there. I
Romans.
need to put them in there.
Neither of the armies had any idea how near they were to
And then I'll have all these bags for
the
you.
two detachments met suddenly and unexpectedly on the way.
Mm.
They were sent
Unless you want to put
explore,
those in there and see how much it fills it up
as they were
What?
nearly equally
and fill that
matched.
back up.
Each was ambitious of the glory
No.
of capturing the
I'm gonna use
others,
this for something else.
carrying their prisoners to their
Need
camp.
that for them.
They fought
Yeah.
a long
No, I meant for the
a great
diamonds.
number were
Yeah, that's
killed,
what
and
yeah,
in
that's
about
what I'm
the
saying.
same proportion on either side. The Romans say they conquered. We do not know what the Carthaginians said. but
Shout out to the 3 people. Thank y'all for the 12 likes. I appreciate you guys coming and going all night with me.
It is safe to infer
Appreciate it.
very decisive victory. End of chapter 4. Recording by Sławek Księżycki.
Chapter 5 of Hannibal. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Diana Moilinger. Hannibal by Jacob Abbott. Chapter 5. Hannibal crosses the Alps.
There we
It
go.
is difficult for anyone who
Better
has not
like this.
actually seen such mountain scenery as it
So I can
presented by
click
the
instead of
Alps
going back over to
to
here.
form any clear conception of its magnificence and grandeur. Hannibal had never seen the Alps, but the world was filled then, as now, with their fame. Some of the leading features of sublimity and grandeur which these mountains exhibit results mainly from the perpetual
What are you
cold
doing,
which reigns
Psycho?
upon
Come
their
on, John.
summits. This is owing simply to their elevation. In every part of the earth, as we ascend from the surface of the ground into the atmosphere, it becomes, for some mysterious reason or other, more and more cold as we rise.
Look at the TV, babe.
So that over our heads, wherever we are, there reigns, at a distance of 2 or 3 miles above us, an intense and perpetual cold. This is true not only in the cool and temperature latitudes, but also in the most torrid regions of the globe. If we were to ascend in a balloon
Look at
to
him.
Borneo at midday, when the burning sun of the tropics was directly over our heads, to an elevation of 5 or 6 miles, we should find that although we had been moving nearer to the sun all the time, its rays would have lost gradually all their power. They would fall upon us as bright.
What are you doing? Now you got me moving it again.
They would feel like
Because you want him to be a butthead and go after it. I can't allow you to do that, sir.
That of the icebergs in the frigid zone. It is from this region of perpetual cold that hailstones descend upon us in the midst of summer, and snow is continually forming and falling there. But the light and fleeky flakes melt before they reach the earth, so that while the hail
Yeah, I
has
know them
solidity and
fucking fleas are
momentum,
killing
and
you.
it forces its way through.
This one doesn't die because of fucking fleas. If that's the case, I'm keeping them all out. I'm not bringing no more little ones in here.
Because it comes from cooler regions of the air above. Now it happens that not only the summits, but extensive portions of the upper declivities of the Alps rise into the region of perpetual winter. Of course, ice congeals continually there, and the snow which forms falls to the ground as snow, and accumulates in vast and permanent stores. The summit of Mont Blanc is covered with a bed of snow of enormous thickness, which is almost as much a permanent geological structure of the mountain as the granite which lies beneath it. Of course, during the winter months, the whole country of the Alps, valley as well as hill, is covered with snow. In the spring, the snow melts in the valleys and plains, and higher up it becomes damp and heavy with partial melting, and slides
Like a
down
little
into the
baby.
declivities in vast avalanches,
Look at him.
which sometimes
I
are of
know.
such enormous magnitude and descend
You
with
go
such
fall asleep right
resistless
here?
force
I can't.
as to
I
break
gotta
down
finish this
earth,
diamond out,
rocks,
buddy.
and even the trees of the forest in their train. On
Look
the
at him.
higher declivities, however, and over all the
You
rounded
faker.
summits, the snow
I bet
slides
you
into
if you
its
put him
place,
down, he'll be
yielding
awake.
but very little to the feeble
Faker,
beams of the sun,
faker.
even in
Here we
July.
go. Go by mama.
There are vast ravines and valleys
Well,
among the
hello
higher
there.
Alps where the snow accumulates,
Uh-huh.
being driven
You're
on
faking,
by
little
winds,
fucking
storms,
faker.
and wind.
I have never seen a cat fake sleep like this cat.
Avalanches.
More than this cat right here.
These vast
He was just
distances
falling asleep, acting like he was falling asleep in my arms.
Below the surface, there is
No,
a
he's getting ready to go
continual
sleep.
melting,
No, he's getting ready
and
to go.
water
What?
Come
flowing
let the
down
baby.
through the mass freezes below. Thus there are valleys, or rather ravines, some of them 2 or 3 miles wide and 10 or 15 miles long, filled with ice, transparent, solid, and blue, hundreds of feet in deep. They are called glaciers, and what is most astonishing in respect to these icy accumulations is that, through the ice is perfectly compact and solid, the whole mass is found to be continuing in a state of slow motion down the valley in which it lies, at the rate of about a foot in 24 hours. By standing upon the surface and listening attentively, we hear from time to time a grinding sound. The rocks which lie along the sides are pulverized and are continually moving against each other and falling. And then, besides, which is a more direct and positive proof still of the motion of the mass, a mark may be set up upon the ice, as has been often done, and marks corresponding to it made upon the solid rocks on each side of the valley, and by this means the fact of the motion and the exact rate of
What'd you
it
just
may be
call him?
fully ascertained. Thus,
That
these
is not his
mountains
name.
are really and
Hunter.
literally
Hunt,
rivers of ice.
That is not his
Along the
name, ma'am.
summits of the
Bull crap.
mountains, and flowing slowly
We
into
call
the
him
stream,
Hunter.
but with a continuous
And what do you
surge
call
current.
him?
Hunter boy.
No, you don't.
Open valley below.
What do I call him
The
then?
streams which have flown over the surface above
See, you don't even
Call
know
him
yet.
descended to
Hippy
the
Hop
mass
Hop.
through countless
That's his
crevices
nickname.
and crests,
Okay then.
into
I got a
which
nickname
traveler
for him
looks
too.
down with terror,
Hunt.
concentrate and issue from under
Look
the
at him
ice
against
and
fall
turn
asleep right there. Look.
which comes out from a vast archway made by the falling in of the masses which the water has undermined. This lower end of the glacier sometimes presents a perpendicular wall, hundreds of feet in height. Sometimes it
Oops,
sprouts
excuse
down
me.
into a fertile valley, advancing in some unusually
My
cold
live
summer
stream.
into a cultivated country, where
Where's
as it
this
slowly
pink at?
moves on, it
There's
plows
fucking
up
pink
the
in this
ground,
one. Where the hell is the
habits
pink
like
at?
orchard
Oh,
and
right there on the
fields.
wings.
It even drives
Okay,
the
on the wings,
inhabitants
I
from
see
the
it.
villages with its
Yeah, on the
trappings.
wings.
If the next summer
On the
proves
wings.
warm,
Okay.
terrible monsters
Yeah, it's
slowly
right
draws
there on the.
back its
Never
rigid
mind.
head.
Yeah, don't
The
repeat.
inhabitants return to the ground, which reluctantly evacuates, and attempt to repair the damage it has done. The Alps lie between France and Italy, and the great valleys and the ranges of mountain land lie in such a direction that they must be crossed in order to pass.
How was everybody's day today? How was Tuesday? How was everybody's Taco
Wednesday.
Tuesday? No, it was
They are
Wednesday.
traversed by
No,
innumerable
it was
hills,
Tuesday. It's
fissures, and
Wednesday.
ravines.
I said it
Some
was
places
Tuesday,
they rise
Taco
vast
Tuesday.
rounded
How was
summits as
everybody's
well,
Taco Tuesday
covered
if you
with
would
fields
just
of spotless
listen
snow.
to
Nobody
me?
had tacos.
In others, they
How many
tap
people had
into
tacos for
the
Taco
peaks,
Tuesday?
which even the chamois cannot scale,
There's 4 people in the
and
chat.
where scarcely a flake of snow can find a place to
Because they're
rest.
all over its heads.
Around and among these peaks and summits, and through these frightful defiles and chasms, the roads twist and turn in a zigzag and constantly ascending course, creeping along the most frightful
Let me see your
precipices,
phone.
sometimes beneath them and
What phone?
sometimes on the
Oh, you
brink,
got it on charger, don't
penetrating
you?
the darkest and gloomiest
Yeah.
defiles, skirting the most impetuous and foaming torrents, and at last, perhaps, emerging upon the surface of a glacier.
Yeah, Hobo's
to
coming
be
live
lost
too.
in interminable
But he's over here on
fields
my
of
channel
ice
too.
and
He's got
snow,
my channel on the
where
TV or
countless
something.
brooks run in glassy channels, and crevices yawn, ready to take advantage of any slip.
He
which
had
may
sloppy
enable them to
joes.
take down the travelers
You had sloppy
from
joes. I told you he was still here.
And yet, notwithstanding the
What did I have? Pizza?
isolation which reigns in the upper
I don't know
regions of
what
the
I had pizza as
Alps, through which the
goober
streets finally
peanut butter and
meander
jelly.
out into the open plains, and by which the traveler gains access to the sublimer scenes of the upper mountains, are inexpressibly verdant and beautiful. They are fertilized by the deposits of continual inundations in the early spring, and the sun beats down into them with a genial warmth in summer, which brings out millions of flowers of the most beautiful forms and colors, and ripens rapidly the
Oh,
richest fields of
my
grain.
Lord.
Cottages of every picturesque and beautiful form, tenanted by the cultivators, the shepherds and herdsmen, crown every little swell in the bottom of the valley, and cling to the declivities of the mountains which rise on either hand. Above them, eternal forests of firs and pines wave, feathering over the steepest and most rocky slopes with their somber foliage. Still higher, grey precipices rise, and spires and pinnacles, far grander and more picturesque.
Oh yeah, he has me on his
so
tablet tonight.
symmetrically formed than those
He has a movie on the
constructed by man.
TV.
Between these, there is seen here and there in the background vast towering masses of white and dazzling snow, which crown the summits of the loftier
Go ahead.
mountains beyond. Hannibal's determination to carry an army to Italy by way of the Alps, instead of transporting them by galleys over the sea, has always been regarded as one of the greatest undertakings of ancient times.
Another 2 from my wife. She's got more diamond arts than I. She's done more diamond arts than I have, and she's been doing it way less than I have. She's only been doing it a couple months. I've been doing it over a year now.
Himself directly toward the Alps,
Yes, yesterday was my little brother's anniversary of him passing away.
who had now learned something of their destination and of their leader's plans, wanted to go and meet the Romans.
He passed away 7 years ago.
They were willing to encounter a military foe, however formidable, for this was a danger that they were accustomed to.
My wife was like, I was surprised to see you out of the room today.
Were appalled at the novel and awful
Yeah.
images they formed of falling down precipices,
He usually
ragged
stays in the room.
rocks, or of gradually freezing and being buried half alive
Can't do that
during
all the time, babe.
process in eternal snows. Hannibal, when he found that his soldiers were afraid to proceed,
Yes,
called the
he was the
leaders of
second
his
youngest.
army together and made them an address. He remonstrated with them for yielding now to unworthy fears, after having successfully met and triumphed over such dangers as they had already incurred. You have surmounted the Pyrenees, said he. You have crossed the Rhone. You are now actually in sight of the Alps, which are the
I was
very
surprised
gates
the
of
girl had a
advancing
bitch at
country
me
of
for
Italy.
smoking in here.
What do you
I was so
consider the
surprised
Alps?
everybody has a bitch at me for
They are
smoking in
not
here.
the
Don't tell
high
her.
mountains of
She's been in there when I was smoking. What do you
Suppose
mean?
they are higher
She
than
saw me.
Surprise.
They do not reach to
That's
the
what I'm
skies,
saying.
and
I'm surprised she has a
beyond,
bitch at me for
they
smoking
cannot
in here.
be insurmountable. They
That
also
surprised you too,
Probably
did.
because she don't want you to
They
make a
are
mess
even
out there.
inhabited
And she don't want me to go back and forth all
travelers
night.
continually
Yeah.
pass over them to and fro.
Every time I want a cigarette.
But we still need, it's still need to get enough
Get them one of
candles.
those scent or those older candles.
Yeah,
They're like 16, 20, 15, 20 bucks.
probably get them over at Dollar Tree.
No, not one of those. Not an older, not an older corn. No, but they don't sell them there. I don't even think they sell them there.
They sell,
You need an older candle. It takes the odor out
I'll
of.
check and see.
I'm telling you, those are like 16, 20 bucks.
I can't afford that.
You can't afford that right now, no.
Hannibal did not, however, proceed at once directly toward the Alps. He did not know what the plans of Scipio might be, who, it will be recollected, was below him on the Rhone, with the Roman army. He did not wish to waste his time and his strength in the contest with Scipio in Gaul, but to press on and get across the Alps into Italy as soon as possible. And so, fearing lest Scipio should strike across the country and intercept him if he should attempt to go by the most direct route, he determined to move northwardly, up the river Rhone, till he should get well into the interior, with a view of reaching the Alps ultimately by a more circuitous journey. It was, in fact, the plan of Scipio to come up with Hannibal and attack him as soon as possible. And accordingly, as soon as his horsemen, or rather those who were left alive after the battle, had returned and informed him that Hannibal and his army were near, he put his camp in motion and moved rapidly up the river. He arrived at the place where the Carthaginians had crossed a few days after they had gone. The spot was in a terrible state of ruin and confusion.
Damn, I should have been
Grass
putting
and
those
the
two up on the
herbage were
wall. Look how
trampled
much
down
room is
for
up
a
there now.
circuit of a mile, and all over the space
Hey.
were spots of black and
I'm all
smoldering
asleep.
I told you I had some
where
good
the
sleep.
campfires had been kindled.
He's right in my way.
The tops and branches of trees lay
Oh, wow.
everywhere around, their
I'm not gonna
leaves
go to sleep
withering
for a
in the
while.
sun, and the groves and forests were encumbered with limbs and rejected trunks. and
You
got
trees
all
felled
those
and
bags
left
to
where
dump
they
out?
lay. The shore was lined far down the stream.
That's how many you've
with ruins of boats and
Trish.
rafts,
Yes.
with weapons which had been lost or abandoned.
I gotta start getting these
and
put
with the
online.
bodies of those who had been drowned
I gotta
in the
do like
passage
a
or
let
killed
go
in the
again.
contest on the shore.
Get on let go again.
Other vestiges remained, but the army was gone. There were, however, upon the ground groups of natives and other visitors who had come to look at the spot now destined to become so memorable in history. From these men, Scipio learned when and where Hannibal had gone. He decided that it was useless to attempt to pursue him. He was greatly perplexed to know what to do. In the casting of lots, Spain had fallen to him, but now that the great enemy, who had come forth to meet, had left Spain altogether, his only hope of intercepting his progress was to sail back into Italy and meet him as he came down from the Alps into the great valley of the Po. Still, as Spain had been assigned to him as his province, he could not well entirely abandon it. He accordingly sent forward the largest part of his army into Spain to attack the forces that Hannibal had left there, while he himself with a smaller force went down to the seashore and sailed back to Italy again. He expected to find Roman forces in the valley of the Po, with which he hoped to be strong enough to meet Hannibal as he descended from the mountains, if he should succeed in effecting a passage over them. In the meantime, Hannibal went on, drawing nearer and nearer to the ranges of snowy summits, which his soldiers had seen for many days in their eastern horizon. These ranges were very resplendent and grand when the sun went down into the west, for then it shone directly upon them. As the army approached nearer and nearer to them, and gradually withdrew from sight and disappeared, being concealed by intervening summits less lofty but nearer. As the soldiers went on, however, they began to penetrate the valleys, and draw near to the awful chasms and precipices among the mountains, and saw the turbid torrents descending from them. Their fears revived. It was, however, now too late to retreat. They pressed forward, ascending continually, till their road grew extremely precipitous and insecure, threading its way through almost impassable defiles, with rugged cliffs overhanging them, and snowy summits towering all around. At last they came to a narrow defile, through which they must necessarily pass, but which was guarded by large bodies of armed men assembled on the rocks and precipices above, ready to hurl stones and weapons of every kind upon them, if they should attempt to pass through. The army halted. Hannibal ordered them to encamp where they were, until he could consider what to do. In the course of the day, he learned that the mountaineers did not remain at their elevated post during the night, on account of the intense cold and exposure, knowing too that it would be impossible for an army to traverse such a pass as they were.
Shout out to the 5
attempting
people in the chat. Appreciate you guys.
For the road, or rather pathway, which passes through these defiles, follows generally the course of a mountain torrent, which flows through the succession of frightful ravines and chasms, and often passes along on a shelf or projection of the rock, hundreds and sometimes thousands of feet from the bed of the stream, which foams and roars far below. There could be, of course, no hope of passing safely by such a route without the light of day. The mountaineers, therefore, knowing that it was not necessary to guard the pass at night, its own terrible danger being then a sufficient protection, were accustomed to disperse in the evening and descend to regions where they could find shelter and repose, and to return and renew their watch in the morning. When Hannibal learned this, he determined to anticipate them in getting up on the rocks the next day, and in order to prevent their
She woke up at that quick? No, he's gonna go back. Thanks to me, they're messing with him,
the
baby.
arrangements for encamping for the night on the ground he had taken. He accordingly pitched more tents and built, toward evening, a great many fires, and he began some preparations, indicating that it was his intention the next day to force his way through the pass. He moved forward a strong detachment up to a point near the entrance to the pass, and put them in a fortified position there, as if to have them all ready to advance when the proper time should arrive on the following day. The mountaineers, seeing all these preparations going on, looked forward to a conflict on the morrow, and during the night left their positions as usual to descend to places of shelter. The next morning, however, when they began at an early hour to ascend to them again, they were astonished to find all the lofty rocks and cliffs and shelving projections which overhung the pass covered with Carthaginians.
Hello.
Hannibal had aroused a strong body of
Hi,
his
Wilma.
men at the earliest dawn, and led them up by steep climbing to the places which the mountains
Hi, Wilma. How you doing, sweetie?
possessed to be there before them. The mountaineers
Hope you're doing well.
astonished at this spectacle, and their disappointment and rage were such increased on looking down into the valley below, and seeing there the remainder of the Carthaginian army, quietly moving through the pass in a long train, safe apparently from any molestations, since friends and not enemies were now in possession of the cliffs above. The mountaineers could not restrain their feelings of vexation and anger, but immediately rushed down the declivities which they had in part ascended, and attacked.
We're doing good. Appreciate you for asking, sweetie. We're doing good.
An awful scene of struggle and confusion ensued. Some were killed by weapons or by rocks rolled down upon them. Others, contending together and struggling desperately in places of every narrow foothold, tumbled along down the rugged rocks into the torrent below. At horses, laden with baggage and stores, became frightened and unmanageable, and crowded each other over the most frightful precipices. Hannibal, who was above the higher rocks, looked down upon this scene for a time with the greatest anxiety and terror. He did not dare to descend himself and mingle in the affray, for fear of increasing the confusion. He soon found, however, that it was absolutely necessary for him to interpose, and he came down as rapidly as possible, his detachment with him. They descended by oblique and zigzag paths, wherever they could get footing among the rocks, and attacked the mountaineers with great fury. The result was, as he had feared, a great increase at first of the confusion and the slaughter. The horses were more and more terrified by the fresh energy of the combat, and by the resounding of louder shouts and cries, which were made doubly terrific by the echoes and the reverberations of the mountains. They crowded against each other, and fell, horses and men together, in masses, over the cliffs to the rugged rocks below, where they lay in confusion, some dead, and others dying, writhing helplessly in agony, or vainly endeavoring to crawl away. End of chapter 5.
End of chapter 5.
Chapter 6 of Hannibal. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, visit LibriVox.org. Hannibal by Jacob Abbott. Hannibal crosses the Alps. Part 2. The mountaineers were, however, conquered and
funny. They got a man and a woman's voice in these books.
The Carthaginian column was restored to order.
What do you
The
do?
horses that had not
I'm gonna
fallen,
put some diamonds in there and then dump them in there.
the baggage which had been thrown down
You get smart, huh?
gathered up, and the wounded men were placed on litters, rudely constructed on the spot, that they might be borne on to a place of safety. In a short time, all were ready to move on, and the march was accordingly recommenced. There was no further difficulty. The column advanced in a quiet and orderly manner until they had passed the defile. At the extremity of it, they came to a spacious fort belonging to the natives. Hannibal took possession of this fort and paused for a little time there to rest and refresh his men. One of the greatest difficulties encountered by a general in conducting an army through difficult and dangerous roads is that of providing food for them. An army can transport its own food only a very little way. Men traveling over smooth roads can only carry.
Shout out to the 4 people in the chat. Appreciate you guys.
Where the roads are as difficult
Yeah.
and dangerous.
It's okay. I told Ernie I was going to stay live until he came and woke up to go to work.
What time
The
is that?
commander
3:30.
What time?
3:30.
In the country through which he is marching. Hannibal had, therefore, now not only to look out for the safety of his men, but their food was exhausted, and he must take immediate measures to secure a supply. The lower slopes of lofty mountains afford usually abundant sustenance for flocks and herds. The showers which are continually falling there, and the moisture which comes down the sides of the mountains through the ground, keep the turf perpetually
Now
green,
5.
and sheep and cattle love to pasture upon it. They climb to great heights, finding the herbage finer and sweeter the higher they go. Thus, the inhabitants of mountain ranges are almost always shepherds and herdsmen. Grain can be raised in the valleys below, but the slopes of the mountains, though they produce grass to perfection, are too steep to be tilled. As soon as Hannibal had got established in the fort, he sent around small bodies of men to seize and drive in all the cattle and sheep that they could find. These men were, of course, armed, in order that they might be prepared to meet any resistance which they might encounter. The mountaineers, however, did not attempt to resist them. They felt that they were conquered, and they were accordingly disheartened and discouraged. The only mode of saving their cattle, which was left to them, was to drive them as fast as they
Babe.
could into concealed
I know I'm
and
sleeping.
Good, let Big sleep.
inaccessible places.
He woke up and
They
turned around and
attempted
went
to do
back to
this,
sleep.
and while
Hunter
Hannibal's
boy.
parties were ranging up the valleys all
You
around
pooped yourself out tonight, didn't you, boy?
every field and barn and sheepfold that they could find, the wretched and despairing inhabitants were flying in all directions, driving the cows and sheep, on which their whole hope of subsistence depended, into the fastnesses of the mountains.
Our state fair starts next Friday.
Wild thickets and dark ravines and
No, it's coming this Friday.
Well, this Friday.
dangerous
I still call it next Friday.
up these steep descents, wherever there was the readiest prospect of getting them out of the plunderer's way. These attempts, however, to save
Costs
their
way too much to go to the fucking
were
fair
not
out here.
very partially successful.
It's expensive as fuck.
Hannibal's marauding parties kept
You know, I've been down here for almost 20 years and never been to the state fair
with droves of sheep
or to the Six Flags.
Oh, really?
I've never been to Ann Arlington Six Flags and I've never been to the fucking state fair. And I've been down here almost 20 years.
Hannibal subsisted his
Next year will be 20 years.
3 days of food thus procured for them. It requires an enormous store to feed 90 or 100,000 men, even for 3 days. Besides, in all such cases as this, an army always wastes and destroys far more than they really
Yep.
consume.
Almost next year will be 20
During these
years.
3 days,
I've been in Texas.
the army was not stationed.
And no, I'm not a Texan. I am a Chicagoan.
The
I'm a
way
Chicagoite. Whatever you want to call them.
was at least
You're an Illinoiser.
I'm an
As there
Illinoisan.
was now no enemy
Whatever.
to dispute their passage. So they went on
You're New Yorkan.
rioting upon the
I've been here longer than I've been in New York.
But that's okay. You're still from New York.
Double
Born
victory
there.
they were gaining
It's not my home
over the hostility of the people
Where?
in
and
New York.
the physical dangers and difficulties
Don't know what it looks
of the
like.
way. The poor mountaineers returned to their cabins, ruined and desolate. Poor
Can't tell you
mountaineers
what it
who
looks
have
like.
lost their cows and their sheep have lost their all. The Alps are not all in
Ooh, I'm glad I had my hand on that right now because that would have went fucking flying.
ranges are in a neighboring state called Savoy.
And then I would have did a lot worse than Trish did earlier
Is, in fact,
because it would have all been on the
small
fucking floor.
states called cantons at the present day, and similar political divisions seem to have existed in the time of the Romans. In his march onward from the pass, which has been already described, Hannibal, accordingly, soon approached the confines of another canton.
Shout out to the 5 in the chat. Appreciate you guys.
Advancing slowly into it, with the long train of his army winding up with him through the valleys, he was met at the borders of this new state by an embassage sent from the government of it. They brought with them fresh stores of provisions and a number of guides. They said that they had heard of the terrible destruction which had come upon the other canton in consequence of their effort to oppose his progress,
Hello, Semi-Ernie.
that they had no
What's up, Semi-Ernie, man? Hey, great live tonight, dude. I honestly, man, love this one, dude. Not the fact that I was a part of it, man. It's the fact that you've grown this challenge to 16 different channels, man, from around the country, man. Man, you and Matt Scratch, man, you guys are doing a great job, man. Man, I appreciate that, guys, man. You coming up with this, man.
Men and boys and sons of the principal inhabitants, whom they offered to deliver into Hannibal's power, to be kept by him until he
Oh, I showed Ernie what I was gonna get for him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I'm still gonna try to get it. And fucking damn, it blocked me out of buying that one again. I think what I'm gonna do is when they redo the money on there again.
That he was at
Well, when I
first
can get to.
very much at a loss to decide whether these offers and professions were honest.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, man.
Or whether they were only made to put him.
I'll try to get the money up again for next month
He thought it
if I can.
possible that it
I gotta go to the job interview tomorrow. Hopefully, I can get this job tomorrow. But the damn job doesn't start. Well, it doesn't open until November, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Labyrinth of rocks from which he could not extricate himself, and where they could attack and destroy him. He, however, decided to return them a favorable answer, but to watch them very carefully, and to proceed under their guidance with the utmost caution and care. He accepted the provisions they offered and took the hostages. These last he delivered.
I'm glad Carter, man. I'm glad he got. Man, you came close to tying him, man. I thought you were gonna tie him. I didn't know that ticket had a $150 winner on it. See, ours don't. Ours has I don't think ours. Since I've been here in Texas, I don't think I've ever seen one with a $150 winner on it.
Preceding and accompanying them. Then came long trains of horses and mules loaded with military stores and baggage. And finally, the foot soldiers followed, marching irregularly in a long column. The whole train must have extended many miles. It must
Oh, for sure, it was an awesome live. For sure. For sure.
Around,
Like I told you earlier, dude, that this is the best one that I've seen so far out of the ones you've done.
wild and desolate valleys.
This is the by far the best one.
Was right, his suspicion.
It's gonna continue to grow, dude. I promise you, man. if you get other people to promote it, dude, not just you promoting it, I guarantee you, dude, it's gonna sit there. It's gonna sit there and grow even bigger. You see, he took the Rough Riders out of his channel.
Yeah.
Rugged rocks. And when the guides had led the army well into the danger, a sudden signal was given, and these concealed enemies rushed down upon them in great numbers, breaking into their ranks and renewing the scene of terrible uproar, tumult, and destruction which had been witnessed in the other divide. One would have thought that the elephants, being so unwieldy and so helpless in such a scene, would have been the first objects of attack, but it was not so. The mountaineers were afraid of them. They had never seen such animals before, and they felt for them a mysterious awe.
If you got, it's for sure. The book we're listening to is called Hannibal. If you guys don't know if you guys want to know what we're listening to, it's the book Hannibal, and I'm on chapter 6.
Not knowing what terrible powers
Of course they will, dude.
might be expected to wield. They kept away from them, therefore, and from the horsemen.
Look, at least I won 30 back on the $4 $5 tickets. At least we won $30 back on that,
They were quite
which it wasn't a total bust. Like,
first onset. They broke through the head of the column and drove the rest back. The horses and elephants
I was hoping to get 2 wins, but I'm glad I got back-to-back wins, man.
buried the baggage with them, so that the two portions of the army were soon entirely separated. Hannibal
I was wanting that Volt symbol because that Volt symbols. I'm gonna have to play some more of these though, because I want to try to get that Volt and the money bag. The money bag and the Volt now is all I need. And I would have gotten all 3 symbols on these on this one. And that just came out a couple weeks ago too.
all except the light of day. The mountaineers, however,
Yeah, you doubled up for sure. Yeah, 150. Yeah, you doubled up.
Army and Hannibal continued during the night in a state of great suspense
Granite State
and anxiety.
profited.
Elephants and the baggage
Karina profited.
him, and apparently at the mercy.
Rocky Top profited.
During the night, he made vigorous preparations for attacking the mountaineers the next day.
You
As
doubled
soon as
up.
the morning light appeared,
I got half my money back on the $5 with the $5 ticket.
driving enemy
But Rocky Top.
so far
Oh, and Tower. Yeah, Tower.
allowed
Tower got 100.
his army together again. He then began
I think that was everybody.
to move on.
Who's the one that got the 200?
Mountaineers, however,
That was time to scratch. That was Carter. He was the first one that scratched because
did all
he always scratches first because he got to get up early to go to work.
his march.
So Ernie lets him scratch, Karina scratch, and Rocky Top scratch because Rocky Top is already at work.
As they passed, they rolled stone down upon them or discharged spears and arrows.
I'm glad people got some of their money back. I mean, majority of you got your money back, but at least I got some of it back.
Detached from the rest, they would cut off their retreat and then take them prisoners or destroy them. Thus,
Look, it was at the end of the day, it was a damn great live, dude.
trouble.
Hour and a half live, 16 channels. That's not bad for
Without presenting
16 channels scratching tickets, man.
force where
Granted, we only scratched one apiece, but
counter
still, an hour and a half live stream, but that's a damn good live stream.
could no longer trust his guides, and he was
I thought it was going to at least go for 2 hours, but it only went for like an hour and a half.
right, wrong, and exposed to 1,000 difficulties and dangers which those acquainted with the country might have easily avoided. All this time, the mountaineers were
Yeah, dude, man, I was surprised to see that too. I caught that too, Ernie. Everybody that was in Florida didn't win.
sometimes man, sometimes
Who was all in Florida?
whatever the nature of the ground.
Shoot, I can't even remember who was all in Florida now.
The marching army afforded them an opportunity. Hannibal persevered, however, through all these discouragements, protecting his men as far as it was in his power, but pressing earnestly on until in 9 days
SIH.
the summit.
SIH, bad. Okay.
Is not.
That's right. That's an age bad bath.
The mountains, but the summit of the pass, that is the highest point which it was necessary for him to attain in going over. In all mountain ranges, there are depressions, which are in Switzerland called necks, and the pathways and roads over the ranges lie always in these. In America, such a depression in a ridge of land, if well marked and decided, is called a notch. Hannibal attained the highest point of the col by which he was to pass over 9 days after the great battle. There were, however, of course, lofty peaks and summits towering still far above him. He encamped here 2 days to rest and refresh his men. The enemy no longer molested him. In fact, parties were continually coming into the camp of men and horses that had got lost or had been left in the valleys below. They came in slowly, some wounded, others exhausted and spent by fatigue and exposure. In some cases, horses came alone. They were horses that had slipped or stumbled and fallen among the rocks, or had sunk down exhausted by their toil, and had thus been left behind, and afterward, recovering their strength, had followed on, led by a strange instinct to keep to the tracks which their companions
The one.
made,
Oh shit! I
and
threw it
thus
away. Damn it!
rejoined the camp at last.
Oh no, I didn't. I didn't throw it away. No,
In
the
fact,
ticket that I played. The ticket that I played, you could win 50, 100, 200, 300, 300, 500, 1,000, 5,000, 25,000, and $1 million. See, yours was, well, this one just came out. There you got the prizes right there. You got the prizes right there, 50, 100. See, and there was a 5,000. My dream didn't come true, damn it. My dream didn't come true. I had a dream I won $5,000. It's going to come true, too. I don't have dreams like that for no reason. My dreams come true eventually, man.
Are entirely destitute of vegetation, and they have lost, besides, the sublime and picturesque forms which they assume further below. They spread in vast, naked fields.
False hope, exactly. Exactly.
Rising in gentle ascents, bleak and dreary.
See, I didn't want to get the $50 loteria because it would have been it would have taken too long. Those were the only other ones that I would have gotten, but I wouldn't have done them. I wouldn't have done them. That's why when I saw the 500X, then that's a new ticket we got in like the last couple months, I think. No, it just came out last month. That ticket came out last month.
Or slowly floating along the sides is really a driving mist, or cold and stormy rain, howling dismally over interminable fields of broken rocks, as if angry that it can make nothing grow upon them with all its watering.
Damn, it's done. Two
Thus,
people in
there
the
are
chat.
seldom this confused
Really?
community
People are probably going to sleep. I understand that.
presents a scene of simple dreariness and desolation.
Damn, it's already 2:30.
Hannibal soldiers
Holy crap.
thus found themselves in the midst of a dismal scene in their lofty encampment. There is one special source of danger too in such places as this, which the lower portions of the mountains are
I can't
less,
believe it's already 2:30 here, Ernie.
and that is the entire
3:30 there.
liberation.
Yeah, it's 3:30, but I can't believe he's in Michigan and he's an hour ahead of us.
It
Can't believe
seems
that. I guess that's the way the time zones go.
pathway into such regions where there is no turf to be worn, and the boundless fields of rocks, ragged and hard, will take no trace of footsteps. There are, however, generally some faint traces of way, and where these fail entirely, the track is sometimes indicated by small piles of stones placed at intervals along the line of a route. An unpracticed eye would
This is funny,
scarcely
dude.
distinguish these little landmarks. In many cases, places from
All right, thank you, Mr. Honeybee. Appreciate you, Jim.
which lie everywhere around. They, however, render a very essential service to the guides
You out there on the road, Mr. Honeybee?
who have been accustomed to conduct their steps by similar aids in other portions of the mountains. But when snow begins to fall, all these and every other possible means of distinguishing the way are soon entirely obliterated. The whole surface of the ground, or rather of the rocks, is covered, and all landmarks disappear. The little monuments become nothing but slight inequalities of the surface of the snow, undistinguishable from 1,000.
Oh, your truck is down. Dang, that's right. I forgot.
Thick and earthy,
Man, that sucks,
shuts
dude.
off alike all distant prospects and the shape and conformation of land that is near. The bewildered traveler has not even the stars to guide him, as there is nothing but dark, falling flakes descending from an impenetrable canopy of stormy clouds to be seen in the sky. Hannibal encountered a snowstorm while on the summit of the pass, and his army were very much terrified by it. It was now November. The army had met with so many detentions and delays that their journey had been protracted to a late period. It would be unsafe to attempt to wait till this snow should melt again. As soon, therefore, as the storm ended and the clouds cleared away, so as to allow the men to see the general features of the country around, the camp was broken up and the army put in motion. The soldiers marched through the
Oh,
snow
Maria,
with great
oh,
anxiety
okay.
and fear. Men went before to explore the way and to guide the rest by flags and banners which they bore. Those who went first made
What does she do?
paths, of course.
I don't know what she does for work.
Behind, as the snow was trampled down by their footsteps. Now, however, the army moved on very laboriously and with much fear. At length, however, after descending a short distance, Hannibal, perceiving that they must soon come in sight of the Italian valleys and plains which lay
She
beyond
makes
the Alps,
compressions
went forward
for
Compressors for
Car
car air conditioning. Oh wow,
Wow.
wow.
I didn't think she does that.
I would never have thought she would have did a job like that. No. Wow. How long has she been at that job, Mr. Honeybee?
His army there to let them take a view
Wow.
of the beautiful country.
Yeah, I would have never thought.
I didn't think that.
No.
The Alps
Me
are
either.
very precipitous on the Italian side. The descent is very sudden.
8
From the
years.
cold and
8
icy
years? Wow.
summits to a
Wow.
broad expanse of the most luxuriant and sunny plains. Upon these plains, which were spread out in a most enchanting landscape at their feet, Hannibal and his soldiers now looked down with exultation and delight.
Yeah, I didn't think that.
Lakes studded with still more beautiful
Especially
islands
with all those tattoos on them.
reflected the beams of the sun. An endless succession of fields in sober autumnal colors, with the cottages of the laborers and stacks of grain scattered here and there among them, and rivers meandering verdant meadows,
It'd be better on with that air conditioning.
and enchantment to the view.
Yeah, I'd rather be in the air conditioning. Exactly.
Congratulating
Hey, man, I know a lot of people that do that, dude. I've met a lot of nice people, man, that do that. That have sold flowers at their off ramp. I'm not lying to you about that, man.
Are at last surmounted. And these mighty barriers that we have scaled are the walls not only of Italy, but of Rome itself. Since we have passed the Alps, the Romans will have no protection against us remaining. It is only one battle when we get down upon the plains, or at most two, and the great city itself will be entirely at our disposal. The whole army were much animated and encouraged both by the prospect of
Stands there with her homeless sign.
and by the words
Huh?
animal.
She said, he said on the weekend she stands there with her homeless sign.
Creating little difficulty. But they found, on recommencing their march,
Okay.
that their troubles were by no means over.
Jeez.
The
Golly, you're
mountains
filling
were
that thing back
far
up, Trish, all the way to the top this
I know
time.
I am.
You're gonna fill it all the way to the top this
Yes, I
time.
am.
find paths by which
Hey,
the
dude, I've done it.
hands
I've stayed on the off ramp
could safely
at the corner with a homeless sign. All it said was, what did it say?
I don't know.
You were there with me.
Something need food.
No, I never said that.
Or I don't
Anything
know.
will help.
Yeah.
The whole train behind was
God bless you. That's all my sign said.
the ranks halting along the way.
I've made other people's signs, remember? I used to make other people's homeless signs.
By the halting of those before them. Hannibal set forward to ascertain
But thank God her mom gave us the opportunity to come in and help her out. I'd rather help her out anyway when we can.
precipice, down which it was impossible to descend. It was necessary to make a circuit in hopes of finding some practicable way of getting down. The guides and pioneers went on, leading the army after them, and soon got upon a glacier which lay in their way. There was fresh snow upon the surface.
This is the one I'm doing next, guys. As soon as I finish this one, I'm going to start on this one.
As they are termed. That is the great
As soon as I get done with the one I'm on, I'm going to start doing this one.
down through the body of the ice. The army moved on, trampling down the new snow and making it
My
by their footsteps. But very soon, all
That's funny as
began to be trampled up,
I would have thought he would never come back with that
and
one.
the heavy tread
Wow.
of army
That's funny as fuck.
softened to a great depth.
That was hilarious.
That was it. We sure
Through
was.
it, and enormous
Hey, Mr. Honeybee, I got my coins being made.
surface of the ice and snow sloped
Look what he said.
the man
Oh, God. Oh, good grief.
falling or sliding down and getting swallowed up in avalanches
All my homeless sign was, said anything.
concealed
If you want to do a trade, Mr. Honeybee, we can do a trade when I get them. I should be getting them at the end of October.
They, however, made some progress.
That
It was great danger. They at last got
On the back, it's just something that,
here they
yeah, we could. All right, let me write you down on the list because I got a list of people right here. I got a list of people that are right here that want them. Oh, where's the pen at? Where did I see it? Where did it go?
I don't know.
It's up here somewhere.
Hurry up, you fella.
Oh, yep. No,
Do you feel it yet?
no, but I feel an itch coming on.
Sufficiently to allow them to go on.
You're the one that started it.
Historian says that
No, I just asked you if you could feel a pen.
these rocks by building great fires upon them.
You're the one that said you got an itch coming out.
Vinegar, which opened seams and fissures in them, by means of which the rocks could be split and pried to pieces with wedges and crowbars. On reading this account, the mind naturally pauses to consider the probability.
Okay, I got you down. Ernie, yeah, Ernie.
They had no
Well, Ernie's gonna
practical
get one anyway, so they're gonna write him down too.
they were compelled to resort to some such method as the one above described for removing rocks. There are some species of rock which are easily cracked and broken by the action of fire. Others resist it. There seems, however, to be no reason obvious why vinegar should materially assist in the operation. We cannot
Oh yeah, you can do that. Yeah, since it's the third week of next month. Yeah, you can write me down. Yeah, write me down, Ernie.
very large supply
Hopefully you come up with
vinegar.
We could come up with by
On
next
whole,
the
it is
third
probable that
week in
if
October.
any such operation was performed
We could come
at
up with it.
all, it was on a very small scale, and the results must have been very insignificant at the time, though the fact has since been greatly celebrated in history. In coming over the snow and in descending the rocks immediately below, the army me?
Yeah, cause thank God I won $30 back on my $5 tickets, man.
And you get 10 and I get 20. You already said
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Procure forage for them.
yeah. Then I got the
At length,
stack of money for a double for $10. Then I got
first into the region.
I got four matches on that one, and they were back-to-back winners. They were back. Oh, hold on, let me get my damn hand out of the way.
Uh-huh.
Let me get my hand out of the way. It's back-to-back winners.
And renew their strength.
Don't show
The barcodes because they're not turned in yet.
The men rejoiced that
Yeah, that's the one I'm doing next, guys.
were over, and descending easily the remainder of the way
That's the one I'm doing next.
at last, safely on the plains of Italy. In Modesto, California, for LibriVox.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying that. Rocky Top said he won $35 on his too.
I don't know.
He won $5 more than I did. He won $5 more than I did. Yeah. Oh, that was the end of that one? That chapter?
I guess so.
Chapter 7 of Hannibal. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Hannibal by Jacob Abbott. Chapter 7. Hannibal in the north of Italy. When Hannibal's army found themselves on the plain of Italy and sat down quietly to repose, they felt the effects of their fatigues and exposures far more sensibly than they had done under the excitement which they naturally felt while actually upon the mountains. They were in fact in miserable condition. Hannibal told a Roman officer, whom he afterward took prisoner, that more than 30,000 perished on the way crossing the mountains. Some in the battles which were fought in the passes, and a greater number still, probably, from exposure to fatigue and cold, and from falls among the rocks and glaciers, and diseases produced by destitution and misery. The remnant of the army, which was left on reaching the plain, were emaciated, sickly, ragged, and spiritless, far more inclined to lie down and die than to go on and undertake the conquest of Italy and Rome.
All right, Ernie.
After some days, however,
Gotcha.
they began to recruit. Although they had been half-starved among the mountains, they had now plenty of wholesome food.
It was that quick, okay.
They had their
Jeez.
tattered garments and their broken weapons.
That was a
They
good session
told with
for
one
him
another about the terrific scenes
What do you mean?
through which they had been
last
passing.
night.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure, yeah,
I was
definitely.
watching it.
She was watching it too, Ernie.
Well, do my diamond art.
She was listening to the live stream while she was doing her diamond art last night, Ernie.
They began soon to awaken in each other's breasts an ambition to go on and undertake the accomplishment of other deeds of daring and glory. We left Scipio with his army at the mouth of the Rhone, about to set sail for Italy with a part of his force, while the rest of it was sent on towards Spain. Scipio sailed along the coast by Genoa, and thence to Pisa, where he landed. He stopped a little while to recruit his soldiers after the voyage, and in the meantime sent
All right, Mr. Honeybee, appreciate you.
forces then in the north of Italy.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
He hoped in this way to collect a force strong enough to encounter Hannibal. This arrangement being made, he marched to the northward as rapidly as possible. He knew in what condition
You must have to get some more coffee.
descended from the Alps, and wished to
Ernie.
attack before they should have time to recover from the effects of their privations and sufferings.
Ernie probably had to go get him another cup of
He
coffee.
reached the pole before he saw anything of Hannibal. Hannibal, in the meantime, was not idle. As soon as his men were in a condition to move, he began to attacked upon the tribes that he found at the foot of the mountains, offering his friendship to some and attacking others. He thus conquered those who attempted to resist him, moving all the time gradually southward toward the pole. That river has been
Truckers are, yeah, that's what I'm saying. You guys are up at the same time. It's funny. They're up at the same time. But he was waiting for his wife to get home, though. Mr. Honeybee was.
Both generals must have felt some degree of solicitude in respect to the result of the contest which was about to take place. Scipio knew very well Hannibal's terrible efficiency as a warrior, and he was himself a general of great distinction and a Roman, so that Hannibal had no reason to anticipate a very easy victory. Whatever doubts or fears, however, general officers may feel on the eve of an engagement, it is always considered very necessary to conceal them entirely from the men, and to animate and encourage the troops with most undoubting confidence that they will gain the victory. Both Hannibal and Scipio, accordingly, made addresses to their respective armies, at least so say the historians of those times, each one expressing to his followers the certainty that the other side would easily be beaten. The speech attributed to Scipio was somewhat as follows. I wish to say a few words to you, soldiers, before we go into battle. It certainly would not be necessary if I had now under my command the same troops that I took with me to the mouth of the Rhone. They knew the Carthaginians there, and would not have feared them here. A body of our horsemen met and attacked a large body of theirs.
I can't stand people like that either, bro.
We then advanced with our whole force toward their encampment in order to give them battle. They, however, abandoned the ground.
Yeah, I don't like that shit either, dude. That shit's, why do you fucking subscribe if you're just gonna fucking damn unsubscribe? That shit doesn't make no damn sense, man. We don't need those type of fucking people on our channel, man. That's the way I look at it, man. That's just fucking garbage, man.
Now, how easily you are going to defeat this Carthaginian.
Thinking they were gonna get something out of the fucking stream and then saw that they weren't gonna get nothing out of the stream. I hate that shit, man.
We conquered them then, both by land and sea. And when finally peace was made, we required them to pay us tribute, and we continued to exact it from them for 20 years. They are a conquered nation.
He left the post
And now this miserable army has forced its way insanely over the Alps,
Let me
just
see if I-
to throw itself into our hands.
Let me see if I can get on
Thus
YouTube with
reduced
this one in the fucking
and
room.
exhausted in resources and strength. More than half of the army perished in the mountains, and those that survived are weak, spirited, ragged, and diseased, and yet they are compelled to meet us. If there was any chance for retreat, or any possible way for them to avoid the necessity of a battle, they would avail themselves of it. But there is not. They are hemmed in by the mountains, which are now to them an impassable wall, for they have not strength
Oh, it's not
to
gonna go all the
scale
way
them
in.
again. They are not real enemies. They are the mere remnants and shadows of enemies.
Yeah,
They
let
are
me see
wholly
this.
disheartened and discouraged.
Yeah, look.
Strength and energy, both of soul and body, being spent
I'll check it later.
through the cold, the hunger, and the scarlet misery they have endured.
All right, Ernie, just let me know when you're gonna go. Well, I'm gonna get off here anyway, guys. Hold on. I only got 3 people in here, man. I'm just gonna get off now. All right, Ernie, I'll see you later. I'm gonna come into your. Oh, well, I can't come. I was gonna come into your stream. You see that? You see how I'm so used to coming into your stream? Well, I'll see you guys. My bad, bro. My bad. It sucks, man. I'm so yeah. See how people are so used to doing shit, man, and then that's see. Oops. Fucking crazy. My bad, guys. My bad. I'm so used to going into his stream.
Yeah, I know. I'm so used to hearing it.
Man. See, she's so used to hearing your streams too, bro. And I'm so used to putting them on TV when I go to sleep. That's how I got to sleep after you went live and I got off. I would go in your stream and just let it play on my TV. Will I not?
Go into the battle feeling that the fight of war itself is depending upon the result.
Can't do that no more.
Man, but there's a reason behind it. There's a fucked up reason
That's
behind
a
it.
stupid reason.
It's a stupid fucking reason why, yeah.
In the way in which he managed to attract strong attention to what he was going to
All right, guys, well, I'm going to get off here. Oh, there's 4 people in there. I'll stay on now. I'll stay
Oh
on.
my goodness, make it.
There's 4 people in here.
into a circle, as if to witness a spectacle.
Yeah, be safe today, Ernie, man. Be safe out there today, man.
A number of prisoners that he had taken among the Arabs,
Yeah, but this was the second company that this shit happened to him with.
Oh no.
as related.
It's fucking, it's crazy.
Whoever they were, however, whether hostages or captives taken in battles which had been fought in the fields, Hannibal had brought them with his army down into
Well, I'm going to jump off here, guys, man. I'll see you all on tonight. I'm definitely going to start going live every night again for you guys. So I'll get off here right now. It's already almost 3 o'clock. I love y'all, man. I'll see you all tonight.
to take